Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew studio. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the third for free with the promo code WRESTLE at BlueChew.com.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard.
Well, you know.
That's not a rib.
No, yeah, but me.
There's no box of gimmicks.
Rumor and innuendo.
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo. And was he there? I was there.
Say something
I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Something to Wrestle with.
Something to wrestle
Something
with.
to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with.
Dig it.
Bruce Prichard. Hey, it's Conrad the Mortgage Guy, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle with John Layfield. John, what's going on, man? How are you?
Bradshaw 316 said, I just stole your fucking podcast.
Well, I'm good with it.
I am too.
I'm excited to be on here with you today. We've got some really fun stuff planned. We've also got a very special interview with a guy a lot of people have been talking about this last week. I can't believe this is real, but we recently caught up with Mick Foley. So stay tuned for a Foley sighting a little later. I'm sure you had a blast catching up with the Micker, didn't you?
I did. I had a lot of fun talking with Mick. Mick's always been fun to talk to. We traveled together for a while. We always got along very well. And Mick's a very entertaining guy, as everybody knows. So it was a fun interview. Mick told us he only had about 5 minutes. He took about 40. So hopefully he had a good time too.
Can't wait for you guys to see it. It's going to be a part of Curtain Jerkers coming up a little later. And actually, John and I are going to be putting some Curtain Jerkers in the can this weekend. We've got some really fun stuff planned. So keep an eye out for it in the coming weeks. But the big news this week, John, I think everybody's talking about this, is the idea that New Japan has been sold. Bushiroad actually first acquired New Japan back in 2012. And boy, they had a huge resurgence. And it felt like they had a lot of momentum. And then, of course, AEW became a thing at the start of 2019. And then here comes COVID in 2020. I don't know that it ever fully recovered from COVID, but anytime you see a major company like this transact, it's going to get all of our attention, at least who keep an eye on the biz. But it looks like 70% now is going to the television partner, TV Asahi, and Cyber Agent is going to pick up the remaining minority stake. So Cyber Agent has about 15 million invested, and the 70%, I guess, was a little more. All told, we're saying this thing transacted for less than $30 million, I think. I don't know. It caught me by surprise, I guess, a little bit. First of all, I think as a comp, I just would have assumed that the company would be worth more. And I'm sure it was in 2019 before there was a mass exodus of stars. And then the COVID thing happened. But when you hear that a major company like this has been sold and is now owned by a television company, we've only seen that a handful of times before. Of course, in WCW, we saw that, and then more recently, Ring of Honor with Sinclair. What do you think about New Japan being owned by a television company now, John?
I think it's a great idea, the television company, because now they have a content. It's very similar to what Ted Turner did with the regional sports networks, with Atlanta Braves, also with WCW. When the television network owns it, now all of a sudden it's not about just a P&L, about you got to draw money off of pay-per-views or streaming or whatever that revenue source is, or off of live attendance, tickets, merchandise, things like that, because you're getting also content for the TV company. So I think it's a terrific vertical integration that's going on. It's a big deal. New Japan has been one of the companies out there that still can put, 40, 50,000 people in the Tokyo Dome. And, they've lost a bunch of stars on COVID to AEW. They have the ability to build them again. I'm surprised that it went to a TV company though, and not the WWE. I really thought WWE would buy one of the Japanese companies, and they still may.
I do wonder, if there is a strategy here and what the long term of New Japan looks like. I want to remind everybody that Cyber Fight is controlled by Cyber Agent, and Cyber Fight actually controls Pro Wrestling Noah, who does have a WWE relationship, DDT, and Tokyo Joshi Pro. So as I understand it, the Stardom promotion, that will still stay with Bushiroad, but New Japan is now in new ownership. But the idea that there's a partnership, at least in a minority sense, with Cyber Agent actually has a platform called Abema, and that has the Japanese rights to show WWE's program Raw, SmackDown, and PLEs. Now we know at the end of the year, Netflix will step into that position for Japan. So I'm not sure what that means. I don't think anybody really knows. It still remains to be seen, but the idea that we've seen sort of talent crossovers with Noah and WWE makes me think maybe there's a chance with New Japan. I mean, either way, we've got new ownership, and the way this all shakes out is going to be interesting. Would you be surprised to see WWE take a more active role in Japan?
I'm surprised they haven't already. So no, I would not be surprised at all. I thought WWE all along has been pitching to get that, and I think they're still going to do that. It was years ago. I mean, years ago, it was mid-90s when I would hear Vince talk about what his plans were for global domination, and this fits right into it. The exact same plan. The plan is not necessarily owned by Vince, but maybe that's where it came from, because certainly Hunter was one of Vince's right-hand guy. Vince thought for a long time he would have television networks and like training centers in all the different continents, except for, of course, Antarctica, but in those 6 different continents. And Japan was a big part of that plan, that global domination plan. Well, that's what you're seeing now. And I think, what they did with AAA, I think what they have a potential to do in the UK, I think they're going to do that in Japan. I think you're going to see that. And I think I'd be very surprised if by the end of the year that WWE has not bought something in Japan, or at least partnered with Japan.
Yeah, I think partnership may be more likely. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm wondering, given, and I don't pretend to know all the details, but I know that WWE certainly had some issues with MLW a few years ago. And I know that ultimately got settled and everybody's happy now, but we see that there is a real partnership with TNA where, for whatever reason, WWE has not just outright acquired TNA. I'm not saying that it'll never happen, but obviously if they wanted to, they could have done that acquisition a long, long time ago. But they've done a really great job with the WWE ID program of having relationships on the independents with guys like Brett Lauderdale and Game Changer Wrestling. And even the Evolve program has now got a big WWE flair. And we know what they're doing with AAA. I do think if they've got a business end in Mexico, the next logical step would be to try to do something in Japan. And at least in my experience, AAA was, at least once upon a time, considered far and away the number one brand in Mexico, at least amongst my Mexican Lucha Libre fans or friends that are big fans. They much preferred the AAA style. So to have a partnership like that in Japan, it does feel like New Japan could be like the AAA of Japan. It feels like a big opportunity if something like that were to happen.
Yeah, I agree. And you look at what they've done with AAA. I think they've done a really good job with AAA of maintaining the culture of Lucha Libre. And I think they've done a fantastic job with it. But look at what also has happened for Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. You're able to get Penta. You're able to get all these great stars. You're able to get title matches. You're able to get the Americanos. You're able to get so much from AAA for your content in North America, while also maintaining the independence, or somewhat independence, of a AAA with what they're doing as well. I think that's a perfect template to use in Japan. As far back as the late 90s, when me and Wyndham went over there for the tag team tournament, that was to help broker a deal with All Japan at the time with Giant Baba. That's how long they've been wanting a deal like this. And the Japanese culture, as you know, is not something that you buy and then you move into Japan with. It's something you partner with. There's a lot of old legacy issues in Japan, especially with wrestling, that you can't just buy the company. I mean, you can buy it, but it's got to be a partnership like AAA is. So I think that's the most likely outcome. I think it's going to be a terrific outcome. You think about it. If you got some new Japanese stars, you bring those guys over just like you do with the AAA stars for your Monday Night Raw show. WWE has so many hours of content they have to fill. It makes sense for them to partner with a lot of different groups that they can bring in those different talents and those different storylines into their programming from somewhere else, and they don't have to create it organically. It's a pretty good win for WWE.
Tama Tonga, Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura, AJ Styles, Cody Rhodes. A lot of these guys have competed in New Japan. It is interesting to think that the landscape could be changing again. Of course, we don't have any inside information, but I think this could be one of the bigger stories. And I hope that my biggest hope is that now that it is owned by a television company, it's easier to access some of the archives. It's been difficult at times to keep up with the New Japan product and certainly to enjoy the archives. It feels like once upon a time, the WWE Network solution, which at the time had its critics, so many people are now saying, oh, I miss the good old days of the WWE Network. If we get something like that for New Japan, I think that would be a huge net positive for the brand and for the fans. But it is interesting to think, hey, what if there were new allegiances? You know, if all of a sudden New Japan were working with WWE, it would at least be interesting.
It would be interesting, and also you get a chance to send characters there. You know, say you've got a character that's been on television for a long time, and they need a break. You know, you send them somewhere, let them get rejuvenated. Let them work on a different character, a different iteration of their same character. You know, you look at what happened with Almost down in with Noah. You know, he got sent over there and came back much better. You know, he was able to get the ability to learn how to work like a giant, which you need all along. You know, he's a fantastic person. He's a great human being, but he's an unbelievable talent as far as athleticism. Plus, he's just a freaking giant. It's just he had never really somebody explained to him how to work like a giant. He goes to Japan. He starts figuring all that out. He's been fantastic down in AAA. When you guys see him soon, probably in North America, because it's going to be hard to keep him very long down in AAA because he's that freaking big of a star. WWE is going to get huge value out of this. And that all becomes because of some type of partnership, whatever that is. I have no idea what it is with Noah, at least the talent exchange, and with what they're doing with AAA. But you have a character that's been on television for a long time. It's great to be able to send them somewhere and let them work somewhere else, make a bunch of money, help a company out like that, and come back refreshed. I mean, it's a huge advantage to WWE to have these partnerships.
I'm excited to see what it means for pro wrestling and the guys and gals who are in the industry. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think about a potential New Japan WWE partnership? We're not saying that that's going to happen, but it is at least is fun to sort of fantasy book. What if this guy wrestled that guy? And I think we can all get on board with some of the ideas of a talent swap.
Hey, and another thing, Conrad, you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. One other thing about this is that, you know, one of the negatives about, say, NXT is the fact that people are all trained, you know, by the same people. Now, the guys down there are great trainers, and a guy like a Finley will train a guy to according to their talents. He's great about that. But it helps to be able to train guys in different places like Japan, because they got a complete different learning set that they will come back with, complete different intellect they'll come back with, learn how to do the lucha style, learn how to do the Japanese style. This is great because you're not running that many house shows. This is great for your young wrestlers, men and women, to be able to go to these different places and learn these different styles. It's very much what we used to get to do with the territories. They're just making a lot more money and and getting an opportunity to go over there and do the same thing we did, just with a little bit more of a guarantee.
You know, from a business standpoint, I think this makes a lot of sense for WWE too. Like, respectfully, I think there's only so much they're going to be able to squeeze out of America here. Like, you do get to a point where it's like, hey, we've got media rights and we've got television deals with everybody in America, and we're on every platform, and you know, all of our shows are as monetized as they can be. And respectfully, because you're doing so many TV shows here, doing these European tours, they've always been a money winner. I mean, going back to, say, the Bret Hart days, you know, when WWE for whatever reason was not drawing super strong here domestically, they knew they could always pop a number and get big bucks internationally. Yeah. That feels like the fertile ground right now. And especially when we're on like an international PLE weekend, like this weekend with Clash in Italy. I do want to talk a little bit about that because Cody Rhodes recently did an interview talking about it. But before I do, I want to brag about Soul. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you already know how much I love Soul's out of office THC gummies. They've even got some cool sparkling beverages, but now they've launched something new. It's called Mood Gummies. If you want to be more mindful about how you feel when you're socializing, winding down, or just living your life, instead of defaulting to a drink and like hoping for the best, why don't you choose Soul's new Mood Gummies? Whether you need a little spark to go out or maybe something to help you settle down at night, they've got the perfect options to make you feel right. And if Soul is a wellness brand, maybe you're not in the loop on this, but they make delicious hemp-derived CBD and THC products designed to make feeling good simple. Soul's new Mood Gummies actually have precise dosing, clean ingredients, and formulations designed for predictable effects. So you can choose how you want to feel while staying in control. And that's always the biggest knock I've had whenever I have said, hey, would you like to try? And I inherently hear, oh, I don't like the way it makes me feel. Buddy, you didn't have mood. If you're looking for a bright, social, and entertaining and energizing buzz, go with the Uplift gummies. That's my favorite. You'll get 3 milligrams of sativa plus THC and CBG, but it's perfect for those daytime plans and beating that afternoon slump. But now when it's time to wind down, I want you to reach for those mellow gummies. Now that's 3 milligrams of indica THC plus CBN, and that's great for a cozy night in and fully unplugging. But you've also got that just right anytime vibe with Soul's Balance gummies. Now, this is 3 milligrams of hybrid THC and CBD. This is going to give you that easy, versatile feel, perfect for when you're listening to your favorite podcast. We've got 3 different moods here, but what we've really got are 3 intentionally crafted formulas, but the same great taste. Whatever the moment, there's a Soul mood gummy to match. Make today a good day and get yourself some Soul gummies. Right now, Soul is offering our audience 30% off your entire order. Go right now to getsoul.com and use the promo code WRESTLE. That's GETSOUL.com. And the promo code is WRESTLE. You'll get 30% off. Remember now, Uplift is my go-to. 3 milligrams of sativa. Mellow is helping you get to sleep. That's 3 milligrams of indica. But Balance is 3 milligrams of hybrid, something for everybody. It's predictable. You're going to love it. Go try it right now at getsoul.com. Save up to 30% off with that promo code WRESTLE. So listen, man, let's talk about international. I do want to preview the big pay-per-view card this weekend. It does have like a big fight feel, almost kind of WrestleMania-esque. But Cody Rhodes is doing lots of media this week, and he says that Nick Khan has been using WWE's live events as potential tests for future international PLE locations. Here's the exact quote. One of the things I'm so excited about was last year when we went and we were in Milan, and it was just a live event. It was non-televised. And Nick Khan, president of WWE, has been really good about using the live events overseas as potential tests for, can we go over there and do a huge PLE like we're doing this Sunday with Clash in Italy? And in Milan, I told the crowd afterwards, I said, make some noise for me one last time so everybody back home can hear you. I can tell we're going to be coming back. I love the fact that they've not made a liar out of me when it comes to those moments, because they are rambunctious, energetic, and they're also non-tiring, which is really a great thing in terms of what we do in wrestling. And we try to put on a nice, concise show for everybody, but they don't wear out all night long. They sing. There's an element of hooliganism that's just beautiful. And we don't always get that domestically. They're excited to see everybody. This is from the Rich Eisen show. I thought Cody was terrific in this, and I totally agree. You know, that match he had overseas last year with AJ Styles was unbelievable. I think they were in France, and the crowd was so hot, the hard camera was shaking. It was unbelievable. That type of crowd makes an event at least twice as good to me. And I'm at home, John. What's it feel like in the ring when the crowd's that hot?
Oh my God, it's unbelievable. It is just so much fun being in those crowds. I mean, one of the craziest responses I ever got. When I go overseas, I started singing "God Bless America," and just for the hell of it, for the boys. I wasn't doing it for for the crowd or anything. I was telling them like the Sheik, don't chant USA. So I'd get out there and I go, okay, I'm going to sing a song to the greatest country in the world overseas, and I'd sing "God Bless America." And when I did it, the people went nuts, booing me. And so I thought, my God, this is awesome. I had no idea. That's one of the reasons about house shows. You talk about them, you try stuff, and all of a sudden it works. So I started doing this every night when I was over in Europe, singing "God Bless America," and people just booing the shit out of me, throwing stuff at me. So then I realized, okay, I'm going to take this to a new level. So I got the American flag, and I thought, I'm going to hand this to Chimmel, and I'm going to have him carry the flag around, waving it around the ringside. Because so who are you going to throw shit at? I mean, you're going to throw shit at the guy carrying the flag, because that's the one that they find so offensive. So Chimmel's in like his tuxedo, and he's got to wave the flag, because I've had him do it. And I'd sing "God Bless America," and they would just besiege it with all kinds of shit, throw all stuff all over him and get all over the flag. And then he got in the ring, and when they throw stuff at me, I'd hook his arm where he couldn't leave me. So they'd throw shit on me and him. And of course, I'm in trunks and stuff. I shower out of it. He's in his nice tuxedo. So I'm having a blast doing this every night. I get to Portugal, and this is to answer your question. This is how wild it was over there. I'm wrestling, I think, Bob Holly, and this is one regret I've had in my wrestling career for forever. I start singing "God Bless America." The whole crowd, the entire crowd, it's like Casablanca, the movie where they start singing the French song. They're singing their national song to drown me out. It was one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of there in Lisbon, Portugal. And I'm sitting there in the middle of the ring and they're all singing this fucking song. And it's like the whole arena, it's just loud as it could be. They get done with a song. I start to sing God Bless America again. They sing another song. I have no idea what it is. They're singing another song. I start to go again. This goes on for probably 10 or 15 minutes. It's all that happens in the ring is the people are singing this song. One of the craziest things I've ever been a part of. I wish it had been televised. And I had Bob hit me with the Alabama Slam during the match, and I kicked out thinking it was going to get good heat. And I should have just did the job. And I regret later. I told Bob, I said, God, man, I should just stay there for the 3. The place would have gone nuts. You know, the match didn't matter. You know, I ended up going over somehow. But I regret not just doing the job and changing the finish, because that place would have been so happy to after that response. But being over there in front of those people, it's just unbelievable. The stuff they do, you don't even think about them doing it. You know, American crowds are kind of jaded because they get to see a lot of this stuff. You know, that's why, you know, like Farner or different groups that are huge stars go over there and, you know, they're still selling out these massive arenas. They are here too, but the crowds over there not as used to seeing what the American entertainment is. They're unbelievable. It is so much fun to be over there in front of a European crowd. The way they just come up with stuff, the way that they're energetic, the way that they're so passionate about what they're doing. It's awesome.
That show you're talking about from Portugal went down on April 19th, 2008 in Portugal in front of 7,500 fans. You were the co-main event, you and Bob Holly. What went on last that night was a tag match, Jericho and Triple H against Randy Orton and Umaga. The women's title was on the line with Mickie James and Beth Phoenix. But the thing that stands out the most, the curtain jerkers, if you will, the first match on the card that night, William Regal and Cody Rhodes. Isn't that crazy?
Really? That's awesome. What a great match. Yeah, I've always regretted not just doing the job that night. I wish I'd have changed the finish, because I would have left those people so freaking happy. I thought I'd leave with, but we're not coming back with something. I thought, okay, I'll leave with heat. And I thought, you know what, fuck it. I should have just done the job and changed the finish, and dealt with the ramifications later. But man, that's cool that Regal and Cody were on that card. We had a lot of fun over there. One time we're in Italy. I think we had been, I don't know if it was that tour or a different tour, but it was around that time. And when we got done, Italy always had the late shows. I mean, like really late. They start like at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, whatever it was real late. So we got off, we get on the bus, and some of the guys are having our beer going to the next town or whatever we're doing. One of the guys goes, "Yeah, this beer's got a little kick to it." And I won't say who said that. Maybe a gold medalist. I won't say about anything else. But then we realized this beer is non-alcoholic. So we've gotten on the beer. We got on the bus. We got all this beer. We're going to have like the music playing, all this stuff. All we have is non-alcoholic beer. And so we have, oh my God, Gerald Briscoe and Arn Anderson have the bus driver going in like neighborhoods trying to find like 7-Elevens in Italy, like at 12:30 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to find any store that would sell us beer. It was awesome. Those overseas tours were fun.
Italy. Who would have thought?
Gerald Briscoe and Arn Anderson literally had the bus driver going in neighborhoods trying to find a place that would sell us beer in a freaking like Greyhound bus stop thing with it full of boys.
What time of night do you think?
Past midnight, because the show didn't end until about midnight. So probably 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. We're trying to find like a 7-Eleven or something in Italy. It was awesome.
Did you have a favorite town to work in Italy? I know you guys did Milan. I know you did Rome. I know you did a lot of towns over there. Does one stand out above all the others?
No, they were all great. And I don't really remember the crowds being that different from one thing to another. I loved going to Italy because I loved all the history of everything. We go and see the Colosseum. We go and see all the different stuff, the Domos and all the different stuff. A lot of guys would do, really do the tourist stuff when we're in countries that we weren't used to going to. We'd gone to Germany several times. So we had seen a lot of stuff, once or twice. And so we didn't really travel around that much. But in Italy, we hadn't been there that many times. So we'd always go to the Vatican or go wherever and see all the really cool stuff that Italy had to offer.
Well, Italy's got a big card this weekend. It feels like a WrestleMania type show. I wanted to briefly run through some of the matches. As a reminder, this is going down on Sunday, and because it's international, it's a different time. I think it's going to be like 2 p.m. Eastern. So what a card too. Becky Lynch is going to be defending her women's Intercontinental Championship. Rhea Ripley is going to be in there with Jade Cargill for the women's title. That's the one I think I'm curious to get your take on. This is a rematch from WrestleMania. You saw Rhea win at WrestleMania. Would you have Jade go over here and keep this going, or would you have Rhea retain? If it was your choice, your call, and we have no inside information, what would you pick?
Yep, Jade Cargill. I don't, not a doubt in my mind, but mainly because you had Rhea go over at WrestleMania. I put Jay over here. Now, you have to do 50-50 booking. I hate 50-50 booking. And that doesn't, but it makes sense when you have two big stars. And these two ladies got incredible, just distinctive looks. I mean, these guys just look like stars. Now, they wrestle like stars too, but they have that incredible look about them that make them just stand out from everybody else. I would put Jay Cargill over and see if you want to go 3 with it. And if not, 50-50 booking, I'm 100% against that. But in this case, when you have two big stars, I think it works.
Not only that, I mean, Rhea Ripley, I think is probably as over as a woman can be in WWE. Yeah. Like if anybody can stand a loss and it not hurt her at all, it feels like Rhea doesn't need the win nearly as much as Jay does. Maybe.
Hey, I was told by some. I'm sorry, cut you off, Conrad. I'm sorry. I was told by somebody about a year or two ago when Rhea Ripley first came in the WWE that was in a booking capacity. Not Bruce Prichard, by the way. I want to make that clear. That she's the one person that could carry the company. Like anybody could. They were huge on her just a few years ago, and they still are, but for very good reason. They saw the celebrity that she had, and it's just. You don't know what gets over with people, and you don't know why it gets over with people. You think you do, and you have a pretty good idea. But even Vince, who had been a booker for so many years, made a lot of wrong decisions. Made a lot of right ones, but you don't really know. With Rhea Ripley, it just clicked, and it continues to click. She is an incredible star.
No doubt about it. And so is Jacob Fatu. He's going to be challenging Roman Reigns this weekend, and I think the entire internet is wondering, hey, what should we expect here? I mean, we've all seen the stories of too much too soon in the rearview mirror with different characters, but we've also seen where there would be stops and starts, and it feels like there was momentum and they never actually pull the trigger on the guy, or by the time they do, the timing's not right. So there's a big debate. Is now the right time to take the belt off of Roman and put it on Jacob Fatu? Is it too early for that? Does it hurt Jacob if he doesn't win? What's your take on Fatu and Roman Reigns this weekend?
I think you better call the Roman. What do you call it? Roman? Be Roman. Would it? Sheriff? It'd just be Rome. Just be Rome, right? Hey, when we were there with Rene Goulet, Sarge, we go to the Vatican, and Rene got that booming voice, and he didn't mean it. He was just talking. That's how he talked. He goes, "So is this where they have the fucking Pope?"
Oh my God!
Oh my God! People are looking around. Remember, like the Highlander movie, where like the guy walks in and he's like putting out the candles. I mean, like, oh my God, it's the Antichrist. That's what they looked like to Rene Goulet. Like, oh, that's the fucking Antichrist. That's him. It's got to be him. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. So anyway, I would not put Jacob over. I would not beat him, but I would not put him over. I think it's too early to give him the title. My opinion. I think Jacob's a guy. I've said it all along since I've seen that young guy. Man, what a talent that guy is. Love that guy. And Roman Reigns, one of the best workers the business has ever seen. Headline more WrestleManias than anybody. I think this match is going to steal the freaking show. I think Roman's going to work. I guess is it his cousin? Is that right?
Yeah, they're all Usos. So yeah,
we say they're all Usos. So okay, so it's like another Us. So yeah, I think it's going to be the match of the night. I think Roman's going to work his ass off with him, as Roman does with everybody. I'm a huge fan of Roman Reigns, about his intellect, about his working ability, and I've loved Jacob Fatu since he's come in. I would not put him the title on him here. I'd let him fight harder for it. I remember when Rock was becoming huge. He went to Vince and Vince told him, says, it's too early. You need to wait longer than you think to give him the title. And I know that's, fans want it, but fans, if they're booking the thing that had killed the Governor and the Walking Dead in the first episode, and it wouldn't have gone 2 seasons. So, you can't let fans book it, but I would not put the title on Jacob here. I would put it on eventually, but I would let them just have a hell of a match.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt they're going to have a hell of a match. I mean, they had a hell of a match last month. I expect nothing different this month. I do like that we're getting a lot of rematches here, but perhaps no rematch bigger than Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. It was a collision course at WrestleMania. We thought Brock retired. Now he's unretired. Although he says he's retired, he's wrestling this weekend. And there's lots of speculation about, hey, is Brock really going to finish up at SummerSlam? As a reminder, a month from now, they're going to be in Saudi Arabia. I would imagine that the Saudis would want Brock on that show. So does this feel like this sets up that rubber match in Saudi to you? If you were booking and you had the pencil, would you go Oba up or Brock up here?
No, I go Brock up, and I probably would. I don't know if I go clean or not. I think we fine to beat him clean. You know, you had Oba almost squash Brock earlier. Yeah. I think it'd be fine to have Brock do the damn near the same thing to him, and then you don't know what's going to happen. You know, I think it's fine for Brock to beat him. You know, I'm talking about storyline wise. I think it's fine. I don't think you need to do a disqualification. I certainly wouldn't put Oba over unless this is his last match, which I don't think it is. But to get this to a third and maybe even a fourth, maybe end up in Minneapolis, you know, with SummerSlam. I think you need to put Brock over. I think they'll have another great hell of a match. These are two massive draws. That freaking Oba, when he comes out of that silly walk, I'm doing it like the Bushwhackers, but I don't know how he does it. It's freaking awesome. The whole crowd's doing it. It's fun watching this guy. He's infectious, man. I don't know. Sometimes you just catch lightning in a bottle. That's what Oba Femi is to me.
Can you imagine if we could fast forward to football season, how many touchdown celebration dances we're going to see?
Oh my God.
Like come August, it's going to be a staple everywhere.
Yeah, it will be. People are going to be doing that everywhere, especially as much as this is on ESPN, it's on Netflix. I mean, that ESPN partnership, man, that thing is freaking huge for wrestling. And as much as they do that Oba doing that, they're going to have guys do that all over the place. It's going to be a lot of fun. That guy is unbelievable. I don't know him. I don't think I've ever met him. Man, what a freaking star that guy is.
No doubt about it. We got to get your take on the main event, or what may be the main event. Hell, this feels like every match on the show could be the main event. It's Cody Rhodes and Gunther. I think a lot of people, myself included, expected that this would happen at WrestleMania. It was the only match I could think that they were leading or setting Gunther up for. As a reminder, he retired Bill Goldberg last July. He retired John Cena in December. He retired AJ Styles in January. So I just kind of thought, hey, they're putting all this equity into Gunther to build for a Cody Rhodes match at WrestleMania. That wasn't the plan, but it's finally happening this Sunday. And I'm seeing a lot of people act as if this is a no-brainer. Gunther is going to win the world title this weekend because so many fans are expecting it or hoping for it or talking about it on social. Would you give it to him this weekend, or is there money in making him wait? What do you think, John?
I think you make them wait. Again, it's a heel. I mean, people are starting to cheer for him, which is fine. You want an attraction. You know, you don't care if, you know, the whole crowd's booing or, you know, Gunther's doing a great job as a heel. Now, whether they're taking him as a babyface or not, sometimes that's booking. Sometimes that's other things that are involved, but he's getting over, period. And I think it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I don't know if it's going to be this time or not. You know, I've said we shouldn't have title shifts on the other titles. You know, you kind of want one, you know, to give Italy something. It's kind of the thinking when you go into shows like this, you know, but what's the totality of what you're giving the people? So I don't know if this is the kind of the gift for Italy. It may be. I think Gunther's going to win it. I just don't know when he's going to win it. And I don't know if this is the right time or not. As far as I'm concerned, forget about the totality of the show. I would make Gunther wait just a little bit. I mean, he is a hell of a heel, man. That guy's what a worker he is. I'm such a fan of freaking Gunther. I mean, God dang, man, that guy's. There aren't many heels in the world, but there aren't in any generation. We just had Nikita Koloff on our Briscoe and Bradshaw show because it's the 30th anniversary, I guess it is, of our 40th. Is it 40th? Yeah, 40th
of the Best of 7 series with
the
him.
Best of 7 series. Yeah, we had him and Magnum on. It was fantastic. But you know, Nikita was a real freaking heel, man. Unbelievable. Barry Darso, they went to high school together. Somebody told Barry Darso, said, hey, they got this legit Russian there in the Carolinas, and the guy's a badass. Barry looks at him and goes, I went to high school with him. He loved to be a heel. Very few guys love to be a heel. Gunther loves to be a heel. And so he's a prize for WWE. And so it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I don't know if I'd do it this time or not. I think it's fine if you do. I think it's fine if you don't.
Well, I can't wait to watch it. It's got to be one of the more loaded cards we've seen in quite a long time. It's going to be hard to decide what the better show of the weekend is going to be, because the night before there's a big AAA match. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first let's talk about Blue Chew Gold. This is the future of erectile function, boys and girls, and it's changing the way millions of men are having sex in 2026. They've got a new arousal boosting formula that combines your passion and your performance into one tablet, and it dissolves under your tongue to get you that super fast onset. There's no more waiting for a pill to kick in. There's no more moments ruined by performance anxiety, just the results you want when you want them. Now, you already know most ED meds only focus on blood flow, but not Blue Chew Gold. It goes further by combining 2 ingredients for blood flow with 2 for mental arousal and connection. So you're not just physically ready, you're actually in the mood. And this type of innovation is why Blue Chew Gold is the #1 brand in erectile function. The process is simple and it's all online too. Get started today at bluechew.com and go for the gold. Turbocharge your love life and make it easy to get hard. Discover your options right now at bluechew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Right now, when you buy 2 months of Blue Chew Gold, you get the 3rd for free with the promo code WRESTLE. That's promo code WRESTLE. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast. So listen, John, it's a big weekend for you too. You know, you've got this big AAA show, and I think most people would agree this has been probably the best built WWE AAA show in a long, long time. It's mask versus mask. Americano, or El Grande Americano, is taking the nation by storm. What should we expect this weekend, John?
Is this not the craziest shit you've ever seen in wrestling?
It's
Ever.
So I know that not a lot of people think about it this way, but here's a kid from Germany, I think, who has now come to America to wrestle, and they're going to put him as a clone type character of a parody of an American playing a luchador. So now you've got a German guy mimicking a parody of an American luchador in Mexico. This feels like they're going to boo this out of the building.
Yeah.
But they love him. He got a hero's welcome last weekend, John. Shout out to Gunther for posting bail money, allegedly. I love that guys are sticking together and the ultimate brother like that. But dude, Ludwig Kaiser and Chad Gable, whatever we call them, they're going to be box office this weekend.
Yes.
They got the most heated feud, I think, in all of wrestling right now that everybody's talking about. And I don't think people are ready for what they're going to see on Saturday night. What should we expect?
This is one of the I've never seen this crazy. This is inexplicable to me. You got one guy who represented America nationally in wrestling. You have another guy from Germany, and they're both fighting over Mexican culture and who's the true Mexican luchador. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen, and it is freaking awesome. You know, Ludwig Kaiser goes down to Mexico. He learns the language. He not only learns the language, he learns the nuances of the language. He speaks it like a local person, not a person that learned it off Rosetta Stone or Babel or anything. He speaks the language of Mexicans. You know, there's a difference we used to always say in Texas. It's not Spanish, it's Mexican. He speaks Mexican. It's unbelievable what they have. And it's similar to what the Hart Foundation was back in the 90s. You know, you go down there and Chad Gable gets booed out of the freaking building. They hate that guy. It comes up here to America and they love Chad Gable and they hate Kaiser. It's nuts what they're doing. It's almost like, you know, it's very similar to, you know, what I hear about, you know, the stories of the Briscoes and the Funks. You know, the Briscoes and the Funks, they'd tape the same match, but they would tape like different finishes within the match. And so they show one version of the match in Texas and a different version in Florida, because in Florida, the Briscoes were the babyface. In Texas, as they should be, the Briscoes were the heels. This is nuts to me. I just cannot believe this thing has taken Mexico by storm. All of the great Mexican luchadors, you know, from Conan, from Rey Mysterio, from Eddie Guerrero, from Santos, from Mil Mascaras, Del Rio, all these incredible stars. And this thing is the hottest thing in the wrestling world right now. Kudos to both these two guys for making this work. Chad Gable's working like a true heel right now. I mean, his work is I've always thought he was fantastic. He has really stepped up. I mean, he's really wrestling like a heel now. Undertaker and Jeremy Borash, I believe, have really helped him. But plus, he's a really smart young guy. He is doing fantastic work. And Kaiser, God Almighty, what a freaking! I mean, if you want to study something as a young wrestler about what to do and how to get over, you need to watch what Kaiser has done the last 6 months to a year down there. This is unbelievable what these two guys have done. I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I can't wait to call it. By the way, we were calling something last week, and Corey was giving me a hard time. He said, next you're going to tell me Rayo and Bravo are English or something. God, he caught me by total surprise when he said that. So we're having a lot of fun with it.
Check it out. You can watch it on YouTube. Of course, if you're in Latin America, you can watch Latin America Fox. It's going to be a 4-match card. They're certainly applying the WWE methodology there. Bailey is going to be in action from the WWE as a part of a 6-woman tag match. We've also got Pagano teaming with Psycho Clown. They're the tag team champs down in AAA. They're going to be defending against the War Raiders from WWE.
Boy, those matches have been fantastic. I mean, physical as they could freaking be. And those War Raiders are good. And so is Pagano and Psycho Clown. I wrestled his dad, many times down there. So, and he's one of the most over guys they have down there. He's headlined more Triple Manias than anybody in their history. But this is going to be a very physical match. They've had incredibly physical. Pagano is he's unique. He's very hardcore, but he's fun to watch because he's just different. And the War Raiders are incredible. This is going to be a very physical matchup.
The Latin American title will be on the line too. We've got El Hijo de Vikingo challenging El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. And then, of course, our main event, the two El Grande Americanos, mask versus mask. This is, it's been a long time since there's been a mask match that I think a lot of people were paying attention to here in America. And what's great about it is it's the exact opposite of what we normally see in Lucha Libre. Like in Lucha, people are always wondering like, hey, who is it? Who's under? In this case, every American watching knows, but we still want to see it.
It's like Ron Simmons when he was Doom.
Yes.
You had like 3 black guys in the wrestling business back then. And one of them who's incredibly jacked up all of a sudden appears under a hood, and you're going, man, who is that? I wonder who that is. Ron used to tell people, Ron, I know it's you. You think? So this is I think people pretty much know they just want to see the mask being taken off. By the way, you got to watch Vikingo. This young guy is a terrific heel down there. That guy can freaking work. It's just amazing to me. I've watched him since he's become a real heel, since they really turned on him. And the way he's taken out 90% of his arsenal of flying just to become a heel and not give fans what they want. It's just textbook as far as heel 101, what Vikingo has done. It's fun to watch. They have an incredible product there. I think it's the hottest show in wrestling. I really do. I don't know about the commentary, but it's me and Corey. We had Savio on last week, which was a lot of fun. I think we're going to have Ray on back again. He became the general manager, which is total bullshit, by the way. They robbed me of being general manager. I already had like my speech planned. I was giving Sabesa for free. I was going to make roadside tacos half price. I was going to make Cinco de Mayo JBL Day. There was all kinds of shit I was going to do, and they robbed me and the whole world of the being general manager and giving it to Rey Mysterio, that little bastard.
Well, you got to get hot about it.
Well, I'm pretty hot about it. Fucking Dave Silva loves it. Thinks it's the greatest thing ever. He's a dick.
What a fun weekend this is for wrestling, by the way. We've got SmackDown in Spain, and then we've got the AAA show in Mexico. We've also got on Sunday the big WWE pay-per-view, or the PLE rather, in Italy. But on Saturday night, and I don't know if this was on your radar, AEW is actually running a show in Huntsville, and they're running it as a tribute to Dennis Condrey. That's his hometown. That's where he lived when he passed away. I thought that was a really classy deal that they're going to run like a Dennis Condrey tribute show. I'm sure they'll roll out the red carpet for his lovely wife and kids. And anytime we can sort of pay homage to wrestling history, I think that's pretty cool. So shout out to AEW for doing that this week too.
Yeah, I agree. And shout out to Tony Khan. He does a lot of very respectful things with the business, a lot of respect for older guys and girls. And he's a huge fan himself, as I am as well, and you are. So huge shout out and thank you to Tony Khan for doing stuff like this.
Listen, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, you know all about the Midnight Express. And I wonder, do you and your friends still talking movie quotes like it's your own secret language? Well, then grab a drink and get ready to rewind. I'm talking about the hilarious podcast, Be Kind, Let's Rewind. It's your weekly nostalgia fix for all things TV, movies, music, and video games from the greatest decades ever. Every Friday, the boys crack open a few cold ones and deep dive into the pop culture moments that made us who we are, with big laughs and bold opinions and the occasional, did that really happen? Each week, they'll hit you with segments like Booze of the Week, Boring Ass Facts, Shit Stuck in My Head, and the very popular Norm Macdonald Clip of the Week, because no one told the joke quite like Norm did. From Back to the Future to the 40-Year-Old Virgin, from Tommy Boy to South Park and The Simpsons, Be Kind, Let's Rewind is your time machine back to simpler days. Be sure to subscribe to their YouTube page at Be Kind, Let's Rewind, and you can engage with the show on Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. If you love 80s and 90s nostalgia, this show is for you. Check it out. Be Kind, Let's Rewind. This ad was paid for by JBL. Hey, man, I can't wait for us to talk about some fun news, and it feels like there is some fun news this week. You're a sports junkie. I know you've been doing 5 best bets. I know you've been on a tear. Do you want to share some of your success with 5 best bets? Because I'm sure some of our audience may not know that you've kind of become like I don't want to call it a junkie. Maybe it's a guru. Maybe it's both. Tell me about 5 best bets.
Yeah, 5 best bets. I started doing it. I've done it a couple years in the past, and all of a sudden I did it the first week of baseball. I just had my best bets on a notebook pad, and I put it up on did an internet video, and the damn thing, the video's got like 7 million views the first week. So I had no idea what happened, why people wanted to see it. So I've been doing it ever since. I've been keeping up with my total. I put my best bets. I don't have. Let me see if I can find. So I'll put my best bets up during the week, like this on a notebook pad. And then I record, wins and losses, and I'm up right at 43 units for the month. And I've had like 500 something bets. I'm up over 100 bets I've won. I'm on an incredible tear right now. Really good with prop bets, not as good with sides and totals this month, but I'm just on a freaking tear. This is a legendary run. I don't know how long it's going to last, but 5 best bets is on Twitter X, and I'm gonna starting Sunday, putting out the videos every morning at 10 o'clock in the morning a.m. Eastern time, to make it easier for people to find the bets and be able to bet and get better lines and things like that. But it just kind of took off on me. I've done this for years. I've won in baseball every year. I've always done well betting baseball because I love numbers and I love, analyzing games. I've done pretty well with football. I've done well with rugby. I'm the shits with basketball. Every year I think I'm going to get better, and I never do. But I'm done well with baseball every year. I'm just now putting out my bets, and for whatever reason, people want to follow it. And I'm excited about it. I'm having fun doing it. I spend a lot of time on this. I spend probably 3 to 5 hours a day, betting on baseball. It's what I do. It's my hobby. I've always done this. And I bet tons of bets, probably 25 to 30 bets a day on most days. And I record everything that I've done. It's all 100% transparent and all that stuff. But also it's free. I'm not selling nothing. I'm not trying to get you to sign up for nothing. I'm not trying to get you to buy anything. You want to follow them. I give you information. You can make your own decisions.
It's at 5 best bets on Twitter. We'll make sure that we link it in the show description today. But I wanted to bring that up to you because I knew from just talking to you privately offline that baseball is kind of your sweet spot. You haven't been crushing it in basketball. And I was thinking to myself, why don't you pick up the phone and talk to Danhausen? Because Danhausen cursed the Cavaliers, and now the Knicks are in the finals. They've swept all of their opponents in the postseason. It's unbelievable what the Knicks are doing. And somehow, some way, Danhausen finds himself in the middle of this. He's been on ESPN talking about it, and it's gotten to the point that in the post-game pressers, they're actually asking Jalen Brunson, hey, what do you think about Danhausen? To me, this is a huge opportunity. I hope it happens. For years and years, people talked about the WWF territory using the phrase New York. And where do they play? Madison Square Garden. It feels like a natural one hand washes the other, that we're going to see Danhausen courtside sporting a Knicks jersey, cursing somebody. What a moment this could be in sports. And you see right now, they're already doing branded merch with the Knicks saying uncursed. Now, of course, they can do this because of their partnership with Fanatics. Fanatics sells a ton of Knicks stuff and a ton of WWE stuff. But I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Like, you would have to go back to the WCW days with Eric Bischoff Obviously, Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone, fresh off of playing each other in the same position in the finals, that felt like a moment in time. But this is maybe the next best thing. Here's a WWE guy who's all over your Sports Center and is now part of the NBA finals somehow. This is crazy and unprecedented, right, John?
Absolutely unprecedented. I mean, Cleveland pretty much got cursed when they signed James Harden. So I think that's what ruined Cleveland before Danhausen. Danhausen, though, I think flushed him down the toilet. What a team that just freaking quit. How do you lose 30, 40 points in when you get to that level? That's just a complete lack of pride. But Danhausen, what a star this has happened. I mean, me and Ron got to work with him in some signings that we had done. I was so impressed with his intellect, with his ability to be able to do things and put things together. Me and Ron both really enjoyed working with him and doing some little videos with him. Man, he has caught fire. I mean, absolutely caught fire. This is awesome what he's doing. And yes, I think he's going to end up courtside with the Knicks. I think he's going to be a huge baby face in New York. I do have some bets tonight. I'm terrible with basketball. I got the Spurs tonight. I got the over tonight, which is going over in 4 or 5 games. And I've got Harper over 3.5 rebounds. And I've got Wembanyama, who he has to score for these guys to win over 27.5 points. So I do have some bets tonight in basketball. I warn you, I'm awful at basketball. So take that at your own peril. But this Danhausen, oh my God, this is unbelievable. That's why this partnership with ESPN is so freaking big for professional wrestling. The opportunities it opens up for something like Danhausen. But again, you can give all the opportunities in the world. Danhausen created this himself. Kudos to that young man. He is a freaking megastar, and he deserves it.
I love when a good guy does well. And how well? Well, Cody actually addressed that. He's been one of the top merch sellers, maybe the top merch seller since he jumped back in 2022. But now there's a new king of merch, according to Cody. He says, I don't know where I stand on him. He's part of the crew that does 8x10s early in the day. We do a stack of them, and he has a stack next to my stack. We've had a couple of moments sitting next to each other. Don't have the best read on very nice, very evil, very rich. But I think it's safe to say Danhausen is one of the most popular people in all of WWE at the moment, and I don't see it stopping. He overtook the merch game. There's all kind of market confusion because the WWF shop website has a thing that people actually believe. But I'll tell you who's the king right now in the merch game. It's Danhausen. He's beating us all. And WWE's leaned into this. They're actually calling the European tour that they're on right now Danhausen's European Summer Vacation, with the dates announced right here. I just think this is tremendous. I mean, you want to talk about leveling up, and what a power move this is, John. This guy debuted at Elimination Chamber, and people were saying it was like the worst thing since the Shockmaster. And now he's all over ESPN. People are absolutely loving him. He's selling more merch than anybody. I think he took wrestling by storm here, and he's been around for a long, long time. He's what's the old say? He's a 10-year overnight sensation or something like that. It's unbelievable the success he's enjoying right now.
Yeah, it is. And you saw his debut, and I thought it was horrible. I was with everybody else. I didn't think it was that good. I knew he would be a star, or at least I felt confident he would. I felt once people got to know him, it's just so hard to see this and understand kind of what it is. Even after you've seen it, for several months, you really don't know what it is. I think that's part of the appeal of Danhausen. But I think when people saw it, they didn't really understand it and thought, oh, this thing's terrible. And I didn't think it was that great. But I really felt like you give Danhausen the opportunity and some very creative people. Hunter is very good about characters like this, about helping characters like this. Not that Danhausen needs help, but Hunter's very good about setting the table for them to allow them to have this success. And I figured they would figure this out and that he would. I didn't really think he'd become this big of a star. I thought he'd become a huge star. And once people got to see how talented this young man was, and he's become, brother, he's unbelievable. This is a freaking, between this and the Americanos down in Mexico this weekend, there's some crazy shit going on in wrestling. That's why I love it.
I just think it's so cool that so many people maybe didn't get Danhausen and they just dismiss it. And then less than 6 weeks later, he's taken over WrestleMania. He's taken over ESPN. He's taken over the NBA Finals. That's a power move, boys and girls.
The NBA Finals is a big deal, Conrad. I'm sorry to cut you off, but the NBA Finals is a big freaking deal. I mean, this before they had, they kind of manufactured, Rodman, those guys. I get that. That was a big, big freaking deal. But for this young guy to take over the NBA finals just from being a character and going out and cursing people, and all of a sudden now you got Stephen A. Smith, who's apparently loves wrestling because he's good when he follows along storylines and stuff. He's very creative himself. I mean, this is unbelievable. This has taken the world by storm. This is, I tell you, this is shocking. And I can't wait for the finals. Madison Square Garden is the greatest arena in the world. I think they'll have Danhausen there. If they don't, they've got a missed opportunity, but I feel comfortable that they will.
It's going to be a huge opportunity. I can't wait to see what happens in the finals. We've said it over and over again. Danhausen is a force right now. And what I love about it too, John, is he's just so out front with it. Hey, give me your human monies. And if you're looking for human monies, look no further than Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. Don't take my word for it. They've got over 1,000 attorneys and more than 100 different offices nationwide. All told, they've helped recover more than $30 billion for more than 500,000 clients. I think it's fair to say that Morgan & Morgan has a proven track record of fighting to get you full and fair compensation. But check out these success stories. A family in Florida recently received $6.1 million. That's after the insurance company's best offer was only $100,000. Over in Georgia, another client received $29.5 million. Up in Nashville, a different client got $10.6 million. If you're injured by the negligence of another, you deserve to be paid. And if you are ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go right now to forthepeople.com/wrestle or dial pound law. That's pound 529 on your cell phone. That's FOR, thepeople.com/wrestle or dial pound law. That's pound 529 on your cell phone. This is a paid advertisement. John, I can't believe this is real, but man, 30 years ago this week is when Scott Hall climbed down those stairs on a Monday Nitro. It was May 27th to be exact. It was Eric Bischoff's birthday. They were in a little town called Macon, Georgia. It was not sold out. They were not hanging from the rafters. And Steve Dahl and Mike Enos were wrestling when a sole cameraman followed Scott Hall in a blue jean vest, walked down the steps. He picked up the microphone and basically declared war. And what we now know is the Monday Night War. But it became the single most important storyline, at least of my lifetime, the NWO. And I wanted to give you a minute to just contextualize what a big moment this was 30 years ago and how you guys felt on the other channel hearing, wait a minute, Razor Ramon's on Nitro? What?
Yeah, I want to thank Scott and Kevin for doing this. I'm in a really nice house now because of that moment, and then Stone Cold coming along and becoming Stone Cold. It's kind of weird because when I got into WWE in '95, late '95, in December of '95, we had probably the best roster, or one of the best rosters in wrestling history. We had Scott and Kevin with us. We had Brett with us. Guys who went over and became the NWO. We didn't have a Hogan with us. We had everybody else. We had all the stars in one place. We weren't drawing any money. And, the same stars that were there a few years later in different characters became the biggest stars, at the time in wrestling history. Now, you can argue Hogan and Londos and stuff, but as far as drawing the ratings, nobody will ever equal those ratings. They measure ratings differently now because of social media. So it's a complete different dynamic. It's hard to compare, generations. No disrespect to today, they're drawing more money than anybody ever has. But we went from so far down to so far up in just 2 or 3 years. But when Scott made this debut, we're sitting there thinking, this is huge for wrestling, but it's not huge for us. We're still not drawing any money. They're the ones doing all the good. And I remember thinking, man, maybe I bet on the wrong horse. There was some real trepidation, at least in my mind. And I think in the minds of a lot of guys in the dressing room of WWE that, maybe we're going to lose this battle because this was huge for Scott to come out and do this.
How often, once upon a time, listen, everybody's got a different answer for this and there's no wrong answer, but let's transport ourselves back to 1996. We know that Nitro not only aired on what we would call the East Coast feed, but they had a West Coast feed. We would often refer to it as the Nitro replay. And I've heard different stories from different guys who would say, hey, we would always try to watch the replay, get to wherever we were or at the hotel bar or whatever it was and watch the replay. Other guys would say, hey man, I didn't watch any of their stuff. I was just focused on my own deal. Was there a group of guys who were watching the Nitro show during the NWO thing when it's first starting to catch fire? Or was that never something you remember guys discussing or talking about? Or was it just he said, she said, and now it kind of made its way through the locker room based on what someone heard?
No, I don't remember a group of guys watching it, and maybe there was, but I certainly don't. I was there, obviously. The group of guys I was around, don't remember anybody talking about it. As far as watching it, everybody was talking about it, because it was the biggest deal in wrestling at the time, biggest deal in wrestling for maybe decades, and maybe of all time. It was huge, but we didn't go to the dressing room and I'll go back to the hotel and try to watch Nitro or anything else, and we didn't have social media clips to keep it. We would find out kind of what happened. You could see some of the replays, in different places, around, on TV where people would, put something on and, oh, this is what happened in Nitro. We would kind of keep up with what they were doing. But I mean, this was the 90s. We're young. We wanted to go have fun. We weren't going to the hotel to watch wrestling. We were having fun during that time.
Does it stand to reason that the guys who were trying to keep up with what was happening on the other channel may have been the guys who were also frustrated with their position with the company they worked with now? So let me get familiar with what's going on the other channel, see if there's a way I could fit in there, or maybe there's more opportunity there. But if you're happy with your spot, you're not going to watch. What do you think?
Yeah, I just think that, it was something that, it wasn't a habit that we had. We didn't go back and try to watch anything. We just try to get on with our lives, whether they're traveling to a different town or whatever that was. I don't remember a lot of guys watching Nitro. Now, we all knew what was going on. 100% of us knew what was going on. We all knew that. We all kept up with it. It was important. But as far as watching it, we didn't have to watch it because somebody told us about it. So it wasn't that big a deal as far as we wanted to see it. We knew what was happening. That was a huge deal. And I think if anybody wanted to leave and go to WCW, they were trying to work, back channels more than they were trying to watch the product and try to figure the way in. I think they were trying to figure the way in through contacts, because that was how you were getting into WCW, was through contacts, not through, storyline pitches.
So when you were getting frustrated with your WWE spot and you talked about, hey, maybe I'll go to Japan, blah, blah, blah. Did you not find yourself trying to catch a Nitro to just see, hey, I could work with that guy or I could work with this guy? That's just fan talk. That doesn't really exist, you don't think?
Nope, did not for me. I thought maybe I have a chance in Japan. I didn't know anybody in WCW, hardly. I didn't know very many people at all. I'd wrestled, in territories and overseas a bunch. Japan was comfortable to me. So I knew I could go and, probably get a home in Japan. And, Europe was kind of dying at the time. And, you couldn't make a living, a really good living being there, without some type of supplemental going to Japan or Europe or somewhere else. And so, no, it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was really an option for me. I told you, the story of meeting Bischoff and when I was in Japan, he didn't offer me a job or anything. So it wasn't like I was getting offered a job by anybody. I wasn't getting offered a job by anyone. I just knew I could have a home in Japan because of the style I worked and the people I knew.
So we see the story evolve, and I know we'll talk about it at other major moments, but let's fast forward a little bit. You knew when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash finished up after the curtain call that, hey, they're going to be going to WCW. That wasn't a secret. Everyone knew that.
Yeah.
But as a reminder, just to add some context, Brett left the promotion. He left the WWF after WrestleMania 12. He went and took a break, took some time off, filmed some stuff, and he's going to come back in October. When there starts to be a storyline building on the other channel, and you've seen a mass exodus with the previous generation, guys like Hulk Hogan, guys like Randy Savage, Bobby Heenan, Mean Gene, and then a lot of the roster as well. A lot of those guys are jumping ship, but now even some of the new generation, like Diesel and Razor Ramon. Did it ever cross your mind as they're starting to build a new faction, if you will, on the other channel? Hey, what if Brett goes? Or did you always kind of assume that Brett would be with the WWE?
No, I didn't think Brett would go. I always thought Brett was a WWE guy. It never occurred to me that Brett would go. When he announced he was going, it was what a shock that was. I thought we were screwed. I'd never seen guys like that leave the territory. When I got to WWE, I thought, man, I've missed everything. I got to Texas late, after the Von Erich run. They had a little, resurgence when I was there, but not because of me, but because, what was going on in Dallas. I got to Europe when Europe was right at the tail end of its territory. Japan was not like it was. And then I got to WWE and we weren't drawing any money. I mean, I remember we had 800 people one time in Reunion Arena or something like that. I mean, it was bad how few people were. And I thought, man, I've missed everything. Then I thought I chose the wrong horse. I thought I'd come to WWE and WCW is the one doing all the good business. So I'm just sitting there thinking, my God, I couldn't have made any more bad decisions. Or be more unlucky than I was, because every place I went to was right at the end of its territory days, right at the end of its big days, its heyday. And I thought the same with WWE. I didn't think Brett would go. I remember when he went, I was almost in mourning, thinking, oh my God, it's terrible. Lanza, and I've told this before, Lanza was the one that made me feel good, because we were really good friends. Me and Jack Lanza were. And Jack told me, he goes, as long as that guy's sitting in that chair, he goes, we're going to be fine. Talking about Vince. And he goes, I've seen them all leave. He said, I've seen Hogan leave. I've seen Warner leave. He said, I've seen Sid leave. We're going to be fine. And that made me feel a lot better. I still was a little bit worried, but that made me feel a lot better.
Well, it worked out like it was supposed to. I do want to ask, with the benefit of hindsight, I think we can all agree that the WWF was always in the number one spot. If you go back to when Ted Turner first bought the thing, 1988, it's clearly the WWF. And that would continue until 96 is when you started to notice, well, they're gaining traction. 97, there's no debate. WCW was the dominant, largest wrestling company in the world at that time, certainly in America. When did you, as a member of the WWE locker room, when did you guys recognize, hey, wait a minute, the WWF's not the top dog in the biz anymore? Was that 96? Was it 97? Was there an aha moment? Like, wait a minute, what just happened? They passed us. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember when Kevin and Scott jumped ship, Hogan was down there. And I remember thinking at that time, this guy's got $1 billion. Vince is Vince. And I thought we had the better guy in charge. No offense to Eric, but the corporate structure that he was in was not going to allow him what Vince would be allowed to do. And I thought we had the better guy in the captain's chair. But I thought, when you got a billionaire on the other side, I mean, this is pretty scary. And then it just became a matter of we're hunkering down and going to war. And, it was a zero-sum game. And I knew it was. And I think every one of us knew it was. I think we knew that one of us was going to go extinct and one of us is going to end up owning the wrestling world, the whole universe. I don't buy that and said, oh, people thought that both companies would survive. I don't think nobody I was around thought that. They thought that one of us was going to go out of business and one of us is going to win everything. And I was worried at the beginning of it. Lanza kind of talking to me got me feeling much better about it. And then, of course, when the whole screw job and all that stuff started happening, that's when I realized, it was just a matter of time before we won. But there was a period there at the beginning where, man, these guys they're kicking our ass, and this may end poorly for us.
Well, we know it worked out the way it was supposed to. With the benefit of hindsight, there's been so many mega angles in wrestling history, and you could go back to the very beginning of time, but at least in the modern era, I think there's often a discussion about the NWO, Austin versus McMahon, the bloodline. If you were to pick, as far as what was the most important, what was the most meaningful, what made the biggest impact, what made the biggest difference to business, can you pick a winner? Is it Bloodline? Is it Austin McMahon? Is it the NWO?
Yeah, like my bias, I'm going to go with either Austin McMahon or the NWO because that changed the business. Because I saw what the business was when I got there, and business was freaking terrible. It was horrible. WCW was losing a ton of money. WWE was losing money. We couldn't sell tickets in North America. We did okay over in Europe. We could not sell tickets, and that went from that to we're selling out every freaking building that you have Stone Cold's name on, and they're selling out every building that the NWO's name is on. So, I mean, we went from nothing to the hottest time, at least at that point in the history of the business. So I think it's one of those two angles. has got to be the greatest angle in the history of wrestling. And what led to the other? I think the NWO led us to the evil Mr. McMahon.
Yeah.
Of course, the screw job made that happen, and then all this other thing. But I think the NWO was a precursor. If not for the NWO, you don't have that meeting with Chris Chambers where Vince says, I just don't know for sure what I'm doing. And Chris draws up, some scratch, and he goes, hey, Vince goes, that's our logo. And all of a sudden Vince realizes that he needed to do something different. The NWO was a precursor to all of that. And if you don't have the NWO, you probably don't have Stone Cold, because you don't have the screw job, you don't have the evil Mr. McMahon, and you don't have so much going on there if you don't have the NWO. And so I think I'd probably give it to the NWO. I think the hottest angle ever was probably Mr. McMahon and Stone Cold. But I think what the most important was probably the NWO.
We want to know from you guys, what do you think is the most important storyline in wrestling history? Is it the bloodline? Is it Austin McMahon? Is it the NWO? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. And I'd also love to hear how your dogs love Better Wild Allergy Relief Soft Chews. This has been an absolute game changer in my household for my dog Ginger. I mentioned this before. She just turned 11 last month, and my mom recently visited and said, Ginger is the happiest dog. And the only thing that changed with Ginger is we got her allergies under control. And I got to admit, for at least a decade, I didn't know that Ginger even had allergies. I thought when she was licking her paws and scratching her ears, that's just dog stuff. It's not. These are actually signs of allergies. What I've learned is allergies in the dogs actually often start in the gut. So when things start to get out of balance internally, well, buddy, it can show up everywhere. They'll have issues with their skin, their ears, their digestion, even their energy. That's what led us to Better Wild Allergy Relief Soft Chews. We've got 3 dogs using it, and I can tell you a difference. I feel a difference in the dogs. It feels like they've got more energy. They're in a better mood. And it's all because Better Wild is designed to support our pets' allergy defenses by strengthening their digestion and helping restore a healthy balance from the inside out. These are the first and only chews with the Ancestral Advantage Wolf probiotics. It's got natural ingredients to help reduce itching and support gut, immune, and skin health. So instead of actually, just trying to cover things up, you're supporting the dog at the source. That's what I love about this. I've seen a huge difference in my dog Ginger. I've got Baby and Little Daddy on it now too. Better Wild is committed to helping your dogs with clinically proven, veterinarian approved solutions you can feel great about. And right now, Better Wild is offering our listeners up to 40% off your order at betterwild.com/wrestle. That's betterwild.com/wrestle to get you 40% off your order. That's betterwild.com/wrestle. And John, I'm excited, man. You want to talk about a big star, a person that everybody in the wrestling business is talking about right now. It's the one and only hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley. And we've got a very special curtain jerkers lined up. We just filmed this a few weeks ago. Want to give a shout out to your buddy Herb right there in the shadows of St. Louis, SICW, Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling. We were at his Fan Fest this year. Hope you'll check out his show and support his Fan Fest next year. But this is terrific. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present Curtain Jerkers.
Welcome to Curtain Jerkers. I'm here with Cassette Kid and the man himself, the WWE Hall of Famer, the legend, Mr. Mick Foley. Mick, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What a great name for a podcast, right?
Yeah.
What a great name.
The Curtain Jerkers. That's right.
You could have gone with the main eventers.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's pressure.
Yeah.
That's pressure. Yeah.
Right?
We set the bar low and step over.
There you go. That's the secret to life.
When you hear us Curtain Jerkers like this can't be that good. And when you watch it, you go, it's not really that good, but my expectations are so low.
So low.
That's right. Yeah.
You vault over that bar of low expectations.
Because this podcast is really, it's the shit. It's not good. It's not very funny. But our expectations are so freaking low.
It's the secret of life.
You know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought.
And right now, we just encouraged a generation of people to aspire to not suck.
They're like, if they can do it.
That's right. Yeah. And that's the key, Mick. If you can just I just hope I don't suck.
Can I tell you a real story? So I always thought I didn't often pray before a match, not for match quality. Safety, yeah. Match quality, I thought God's got enough on his plate, not worrying about how many stars I get.
It's
from
like
the
when the
wrestling
quarterback says, like, "Well, thank God." Well, okay, God roots for the Steelers. I don't. I really don't think he does. I don't. He may have a team, but he probably doesn't.
But I did pray on my way to the ring for WrestleMania. Was it 20 that was at the Garden in 2000?
20 was at the Garden.
20 at the Garden.
Yeah.
And my prayer was this: Dear God, please don't let me suck. And I didn't suck. But I wasn't exactly
Prayer
reaching
was
for the
answered.
stars. Yeah,
Prayer
I
was
did not
answered.
suck. But had it not been for what I thought was, it's a match I can't watch, even though I understand it was good. Some people thought it was very good, but I can't watch it because I know I didn't go out to do my best, right? And so I resolved that next month when I had the singles match with Randy Orton. No, brother, I'm going to be more than not suck out there. I'm going to aspire.
More than nothing.
Yeah, that wasn't even grammatically correct.
You're like, God, can I be okay?
Yeah,
Like not like real good, but you're like stepping up. Like
that would be like a baseball player, World Series, final out, bases loaded, going, just let me fly out. Just let me fly out to left. Don't
Make
let me strike
contact,
out.
and that's it.
Yeah, I don't care if we lose.
that's right.
Don't let me strike out.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here?
We don't know about not sucking.
sucking.
I do want to mention something because I mentioned this many times on different shows that I've talked about. I've always thought that a champion has to transcend the genre and truly become bigger than whatever you're in. You have to walk through hell at some point. Bret Hart did it with Stone Cold.
Yeah.
I've always thought you were the guy that took The Rock and Triple H
wow.
through hell, because when you get there, especially if you're a heel, people have to know you're tough enough to be there, even if you're a chicken shit heel, typical. But they got to know at some point you have merit to be there. And I've always thought that you did that for both Triple H and for The Rock. Did you feel that at the time that this was something for them that they badly needed?
Well, I didn't so much understand it when I wrestled Shawn at Mind Games, because at that time, so much of the weight of the company was on the champion's shoulders. And so I knew Shawn was worn out. He was really open to ideas. I just wanted to have a great match that could be up there with the great matches he'd had, because he'd set the bar high, brother.
Yeah. Boy,
High.
had he.
Yeah, he really had. It wasn't until, in retrospect, where he would give me that credit for giving him that little veneer of having walked through hell. Like, I guess there was a sense that you've endured some stuff. If you go through that wasn't his specialty match, but there was a lot of outside extracurricular stuff. By the time I got with Triple H, I understood that was part of my role, but this is one of those cases, it's a win-win situation, because I had essentially retired in Vince's office in October of '99, as I fell down twice in a SmackDown episode doing spots I'd done. Like, they had to edit the match because I sucked in it. And also I was, what happened, one of the biggest mistakes I made career-wise is that I probably had to be 280 when I came into WWE so I could work with The Undertaker. And I'd come down from about 320 in WCW, put on some weight, dropped 40 pounds. I think I had some of the best matches of my career. ECW, I would go over and, work for Otto Vons in Germany, and I felt really good at 280. But once I got over, and they'll accept you at any weight, I should have dropped down to about 250 to make life a lot easier on my knees. And instead I went the other way. And it wasn't hurting the matches, but it was hurting me in the 23 hours and 45 minutes in between matches. And I also started leading with my head to make up for the lack of mobility. And that was a mistake. And I was paying the price for it, because I was kind of forgetting where I live, little things, not to make light of it, but I was like, I'm pretty sure I live 20 miles from here, And so I said to Vince, I think I need to retire. And he, okay, why? I said, well, I'm having trouble mobility-wise. The kids playing soccer, if they don't kick it right to me, I can barely move to side to side. He talked to me about my weight. And I said, Vince, I can't remember where I lived some of the time. And right there, he goes, you've just had your last match.
Wow.
But had it not been for Steve having the neck injury, that would have been my last match. And then there was a sense like, can we pull together for the good of the team? And he met with me and Hunter, I think at the Garden, and asked if I thought I could have at least one more good match in me. And so going in, Hunter was already a huge star, but he'd done it on a tag team level and within a group with DX. And he was looking for that opponent he could walk through hell with. And I was looking for somebody who could raise me up and let me ride off into the sunset with something I could really be proud of. I'm getting a little, flashes in my scalp because it was really a great moment for me. And we did the first one at the Garden, second one in Hartford, Hell in a Cell. And it was really a great, it was just a best case scenario for both people. And by the time I did the match with Randy Orton, I realized after that match where I had prayed not to suck and God delivered on that promise for me, that prayer. No, I've got an opportunity not only to do something special for myself, but maybe to change the way people see this guy. Now, if I didn't think the world of him, potential-wise, I wouldn't have floated the idea to Vince to begin with. And that night in Edmonton, I'd gotten my bell rung. I threw up in a Tim Hortons, caught the red eye. My bags were lost in Toronto. It was one of those terrible days. My youngest son was dehydrated. He was in the hospital. And so I came in and did a shift and relieved Colette of the parenting duties for 4 hours. And when I came back, Raw was on. And Randy was announced. And the reaction was completely different than it had been the night before. And I was like, he went through some stuff,
Right.
like he really went through some stuff and people recognize that. So yeah, I never thought of it that way walking through hell. I always thought of myself as the pulling guard who opened up holes
Right.
for the
Needed.
star.
Needed.
Yeah, you need that guy. And I'm not the star running back, but I'm the guy that opens
But
the
if you don't have
holes.
that pulling guard, you don't have a star running
That's
back.
right, brother.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Corey Ryan Forrester. We're here on Curtain Jerkers. We're doing a podcast with JBL, and you look like a guy that might want to talk to us about it. First off, can you tell everybody that JBL's your hero and you love him?
He ain't my hero, but that clothesline ain't no joke, though.
So where are you coming in from?
I'm from Baldwin. Come from Baldwin on St. Louis side.
Okay, right on.
Ladies and gentlemen,
We'll wait on this.
the show is in the house.
A few moments later.
Enzo looks like shit.
Not all at once, so tell go right there and buy your shirt. Tell them back. Tell them buy my shirt back.
1 hour later.
Are they about to sell a cow? Yeah, what's happening here? And I got one doink. Do I see two doink? Two doink. Do I see three doink?
3 hours later.
Sorry about this, man.
No, you good, bro.
8 hours later.
This was great timing.
We have several of these.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Johnny, he's going into the Hall of Fame tonight. So, guys, make sure you join us for that. And don't forget, right after that happens, we go to wrestling.
The following Thursday.
Well, tell us your name again, man.
Joaquin.
Joaquin,
Yes, sir.
appreciate you being on Curtain Jerkers, man.
thank you,
I know
thank
we've
you.
taken up a lot of your time. Go get back in line,
I
buddy.
know you good.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
y'all.
Good to see
I
you,
love
man.
the shirt, man.
Thank you. Hey, twins.
Ron asked me recently, have you lost weight? And I said, yeah, mainly my neck and arms. If I can figure out whatever to do for my belly, I'll have huge arms. I'm just going to transfer this.
I began to worry when I met Sylvester Stallone. He worked my upper arm like it was a speed bag. I was like, I got old man arms. And that part of that is when you lose the weight, but part of it is like, I never had much muscle to begin with. But like if I worked out harder than people thought. I remember Frank Dusick telling me, because he knew the guy who owned the gym in Arlington where Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah,
called
that's
home.
right. Yeah.
This would have been a couple of years before Ronnie Coleman, started working out there. And he pulls me over in world class. He goes, people think you don't work out. And I nodded my head. He goes, I hear you do work out. And you work out hard and you work out smart. But brother, you have no genetics. And I was like, bingo. But if I hadn't worked out, I wouldn't have filled out enough to where I look like I stood a chance with some of those guys. You know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
It's like, yeah, I didn't. And some, back in the day, I'm not knocking today's product, but they say in our day, kid, we watch blood swirl down the drain. Now you watch tanning lotion swirl down the drain, And there were barrel-chested men with hairy chests, and they may not have worked out, but they were burly. So I may have had that kind of look, but only because I did work on it. I did work on it. And stuff is falling apart as we speak, and it's like, wow, like I didn't know Mother Nature and Father Time. They're undefeated, right?
My goodness. And I'm tag teaming with one of the genetic freaks of all time, like Ron Simmons. And Ron goes to the gym famously do like 2 sets of bench, and you go, you ready to go? I go, Ron, I have to work out hard to look this bad. Okay, I actually really work out hard, or else I wouldn't look bad. I'd look worse.
Well, let me give you, this is my favorite story about my body. My son, Mickey, sees me about 3 a.m., right? And Mickey's a straight shooter. Like people know, my son is on the spectrum, right? It allows him to see the world in a different way. And he sometimes his way he perceives things and explains things is a little bit different. Now, my younger kids have never seen dad with their shirt off. Older kids, maybe mid to late 90s, right? And so I go from 338 at that time. Now I'm down 372 to about 265, over 100. But at that time, I went from 338 all the way down. 258 was the goal. Then once you get to 258, you drop to 80. It's like, let me do 100 just so I know what that feels like. So I was somewhere around 260. It's 3 a.m. and I'm taking a progress selfie with the mirror, and I don't realize that Mickey's awake. And I cover up like I'm exposed like this. And he goes, "No, Dad." Like, oh, no, please. And he goes, "No, Dad, you look good." I went, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, Dad, you look good. If you keep working out really hard, you might look almost as good as Bo Dallas." So look at all the stipulations he places on that sentence. If you work out really hard, you might look almost as good as the guy with the worst.
You're not there yet.
Yeah, not there yet.
He doesn't say Sid Vicious.
It's a long road still.
Yeah.
But
He doesn't say Lex Luger.
No, Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas.
Bo Dallas.
But I do know this. Yesterday I flew 2 different legs on the same plane, but 2 different. I flew from Tampa and from Fort Lauderdale to Tampa. Stayed on the same plane and caught the flight to St. Louis. And I was in an exit row, but it was an exit row in Southwest. And what's cool when I dropped that weight is the economy seat feels like the first class seat felt 2 years ago without the pampering,
Yeah, right.
But I was explaining to one of the guys today, you see so many guys. I hadn't seen Iceman King Parsons since 1989. And I wanted, I know I'm going to see you, right? Like we hadn't talked about this, but we just saw each other at Mania. We'll probably see each other, a month to 6 weeks. And I said, I know I'm supposed to be legendary frugal, but if I didn't bump up to first class or at least comfort, then not only was it a miserable flight, but I was dreading it for weeks on end. Like, no, this is going to be a terrible, terrible flight.
That's right. You dread it for days or weeks on end, even when you realize you got a really bad seat somewhere. Yeah. I've been there. there.
Not that I'm going to make. There's that many Devil Wears Prada 2 references on your podcast, but
right.
It's a really cool movie. Good character development. Meryl Streep with the babyface turn. It's really well done.
Incredible.
But there's a moment where her company is bought by a corporation that doesn't understand. Like they're like, no, there will be no more private cars. You're taking Ubers. And then she has to fly to Italy, and instead of being in first class or a private jet, she's in the middle seat in coach. And there's a big dude eating a chicken salad sandwich that you can almost smell, like
through the screen.
It's like, that's the way I would feel, where I'd be like, and then, Southwest used to have the whatever boarding they called it. You took whatever seat, and I'd be on that, get that exit row. I'd pay a little extra for the exit row and just, but please don't let it be that big guy. Don't let it be that big guy. And the entire time I worked, this is something the kids out there might like to know, but I guess it's not really beneficial because no airline does the free boarding anymore. When I was at TNA and I'd catch that flight from Long Island to Orlando every 2 weeks, I'd get in my seat and then I would take out the air sickness bag, and the entire boarding process I'd be going, and if it looked like somebody was making eyes at my thing,
It's awesome.
They're like, yeah, we'll go to awesome. We'll go somewhere else.
What is your opinion on JBL when
I think for wrestlers coming from the country, country wrestlers, I think he's one of the greatest of all time, and also he's very financially adept. In a real fight, I don't think Well, I quite frankly, I don't think I could beat any of them, but I think you could put me against one of the referees. maybe what's the one that's still alive? Dave Hebner? Is he still alive? Earl Hebner, excuse me. Well, I'm no slouch, but I don't underestimate anybody. You never underestimate the 5-year-old, and you never underestimate the 95-year-old. The reason why you don't underestimate the 95-year-old, because he could be a grandmaster of Denmark. The reason why you don't underestimate the 5-year-old, because he could have stole his papa's gun.
Hey, Tony. I am a trademark. How you doing? Good to see you. Hold on, I want to talk to this piece of shit. I'm sorry, I'm trademarked. You can't take my picture.
I'm working for Conrad.
Oh, he sucks.
He told me I could film you. So.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. He said any issues, bring it up to him.
I've got my lawyer with me.
Yeah, he's our lawyer too.
Yeah. Who am I representing right now?
Conrad.
You can't do.
I said it first.
This, buddy. You're legally obligated.
Hi, my name is Tony Schiavone.
One of my favorite lines. I'd never met you before.
Yeah.
You came to the Stardome in Birmingham when you were first starting to do the tours, and it was as a comic. I go out. I'm excited. I'm like, I'm in front of my people, wrestling fans. Like, this is not a normal comedy club.
Yeah.
And my favorite line is when we get off. I get through and I'm walking, and Mick grabs the mic and he goes, "Did y'all enjoy Casio? Is that funny?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, that's the end of the humor." Glad y'all got to that. The rest of it is not going to be humor.
Yeah, because he was really good.
But you're captivated. I mean,
yeah, I remember.
That's a grind. Like you felt it now. Turning into comedy clubs is a whole different world.
Because I had done some college speaking, and we're going to talk for a little while. But this is important. I may have shared this story about Judah Friedlander. Did I tell this story to you about Judah Friedlander? Essentially rescuing, this aspect of my life, because when I started doing the clubs, I was trying to do stand-up comedy. I was observational, public interest and, current news. And I guess I was doing okay, but I heard somebody say to me, "Yeah, I went to see Roddy Piper at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles." How was he? He goes, "Well, it was good, but he was talking about this." He goes, "He's Roddy Piper. I want to hear about." He could have just been saying the exact same thing to me.
Yeah.
It was like I was running away from the things that made me stand out.
Of course.
So at a certain point, I retired without telling anyone I retired, right? And then USO Metro Washington it wasn't USO Metro Washington, because it would have been New York City. Some USO or Wounded Warriors, one or the other, asked me if I'd like to join the troops at a comedy show at Gotham Comedy in New York. And I said, "I used to do comedy if you want me to go up and do a set." And I didn't know at that time that you go to one of the top clubs in New York, you're watching really good comics doing their 6 to 8 minute set. And they're getting it, they're perfecting it. So I was literally following Amy Schumer and Judah Friedlander. And then and I'm sitting in the front row with the troops. I go, "We've got a special guest here, Mick Foley." And I go up and I proceed to bomb on a level I couldn't have perceived before that. Could not have even contemplated.
How far in it before you knew you were bombing?
I'd say 5 minutes, not a single laugh in 5 minutes. And also I hear every comic talks about their genitalia, right, when they start. And I remember, I remember somebody, doing a review of, not review, just, they said, "Yeah, it was pretty funny, but he talked about his penis, he's Mick Foley, like it's the same thing with Roddy, right? I'm talking about my penis because I've got a mic, and that's what we guys do." And
that's what we did.
There were like 5 other comics talking about their penises. And so, A, I haven't done a set in 6 months. B, I'm following really talented comics. This is an art and a talent to talking about your penis. And I was not an artist yet. And I figure, Mick Foley, I'm going to wing it. It's like a promo. But it's not like a promo. It is not like a promo. Promos are often, I'd say usually best when they're raw, better not rehearse.
Yes.
Whereas storytelling, especially, is, you work on things and you come up, how can I make this better? And you're constantly looking at a way more like a match than it would be promo. And I get up there thinking I'm going to wing it. And I just turned to the audience at one point and I said, if I was in a pool, I would ask for a life preserver because I'm drowning up here. I walked off that stage. I didn't think I'd ever get back on. This was so much worse than any match I'd ever had because the match you can rescue yourself.
Yeah,
somewhere,
right.
Let's go outside, whatever you're going to do. You can somehow get them back. Sometimes you can't, but you can try. And I was just helpless. And when I got off the stage, Judah said, dude, it's not as bad as you thought. I said, Judah, it was awful. And he looks at me and goes, dude, he goes, you've got something most people don't. I said, what's that? He said, people listen to you.
Yeah.
He goes, anyone else goes up there and doesn't get a laugh for 5 minutes, they're done. People listen to you. He goes, don't get me wrong. You got to find a way to make it this funny. And then what he does, he reaches into his back pocket and he pulls out a stack of index cards like this. Judah's one of those guys who works off the crowd. And it looks like he's just making it up off the top of his head. And he's got words and arrows and he's got all these things going on. He goes, dude, if it looks easy up there for me, it's because I've worked really hard to make it look that way.
That's cool.
And he said, if you're willing to put in the work, I'll take you around with me. And I started, I was going to say 2 or 3, probably 2 nights a week. I'm going into New York City for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Judah's calling the clubs. Hey, it's Judah. I got a friend. Can you do 5 minutes? And now I'm putting in 5 minutes. I'm getting my reps in. And I'm putting in 5 minutes. And I'm still not doing wrestling stuff, but I'm getting used to getting some pacing and some timing. But, in wrestling, I point out, there's those handful of people who really believe in you when maybe you don't believe in yourself. I mean, maybe like a Murdoch or somebody when you were breaking in and they see something in you. And the fact that Judah saw something in me, and I don't really keep in touch with him, but I give him his props because without that conversation rescuing me at that stage, I wouldn't have done it. And I would have felt like a failure.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't, I'm a big believer in taking your swings, in the game of life. I don't mind striking out, and I say no one hits towering home runs without striking out a lot of times. And it's so much fun that wrestling fans tend to remember all the great stuff you did, and they conveniently forget some of the times you tanked. Can I give you an example?
Yeah.
This is one of the worst lines I ever delivered on. I was the commissioner in 2000. And I'm trying to draw the team together. And I had passed this by Vince. He goes, Mick, I don't think this is going to work. I said, trust me, Vince. I'm going to trust your judgment, but I'm telling you, I don't think it's going to work. And I got Kurt Angle. Kurt's a great straight man. I got a bunch of people. And I said, come on, we got to do this thing. We can pull together. We got to do it like a team. Almost like, I'm trying to think of the name of the show. 30-something. Remember 30-something when the times were down and they had to pull together after Nancy got the diagnosis of, when I stopped and Kurt goes, pancreatic cancer? And I said, pancreatic cancer. But it wasn't, it was a different type of cancer. And you could have heard a pin drop. You could have heard a freaking pin drop in that arena. I just sit there ovarian. It was ovarian. Kurt, because on one level it's genius that Kurt Angle would know the episode of 30-something I was talking about. And the other thing is, not a freaking sound. I would have been relieved to hear crickets, but there was nothing there. But if you don't have a few of those moments here and there, you can't appreciate the good ones. Man. So I it's just such a I mean, you do that. You have to suck in order to enjoy the act of not sucking. So you guys might want to raise that bar.
Yeah,
just a tiny bit.
We just pray. We're above non-suck.
We're praying we'll be okay. We're no longer praying we just don't suck. Yeah. We're praying we're going to be okay.
Bigger goals. Yeah, we'll be okay.
We're not good. God, we don't have to be good. Just make us where we're okay.
Look, before we do get out of here,
I got to tell the Shinedown story.
Okay, I want to make sure you get your other thing in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The other thing is, I just asked before the show if we could talk just a tiny bit about, just make people aware of I'm doing a show on June 8th at Side Splitters in Tampa.
This is awesome what you're doing.
Where 100% of the proceeds. Now the club will take their 20%, but it's 100% of my proceeds plus the auction where I auction off the shirts and that night we'll contribute the merchandise. Also, it all goes to help Brian Knobs out. Because Knobs is one of the most upbeat guys I've ever met, and
Good
it
guy.
breaks
Great
my
sense
heart
of humor.
to hear that, he's down, and life's dealt him a pretty tough hand. And I think, this is like wrestling's like a crazy, it's like a crazy dysfunctional family. But in the end, we have to look out for each other. And part of the reason I do it, I mean, the biggest part is because I'd like to think that had things not worked out for me like they had, that there'd be somebody out there trying to do something for me. And so, if you can go, I mean, Knobs' fundraiser is up there on GoFundMe. And if you're in that Florida area within a couple-hour drive, I think Jimmy Hart's going to be there. Knobs is going to try to make it. And it's Wrestler Central in Tampa. There's going to be 5 or 10 other wrestlers anyway.
What's that date again?
It's June 8th, after my birthday. At Side Splitters in Tampa. You can get tickets at my website, which is realmickfoley.com. Now, the Shinedown story is I reach out to Conrad.
Hey, but wait, one other thing, before you go, also the shirt off your back auction you're doing as well for Cauliflower Alley Club.
I had been doing it for about a full year for Cauliflower Alley Club, and we raised $35,000.
That is awesome. Cauliflower Alley Club, for those that don't know, does incredible stuff. I was really close friends with Black Bart, and they helped him pay so many of his medical bills, and everything that they needed when I talked to them, they took care of. A lot of the guy helps them as well, but they do a great job.
And there's like a little message in here, I think, because Brian Blair's the president, and Brian was a commissioner of Hillsborough County, and Brian's a pretty conservative, pretty conservative by nature, and I'm not, right? But we need each other. Like, I can't do what he does. I don't have the skills. I don't have the organization, and I go out there and I try to get the word out there, like as an ambassador.
Yeah.
And so we're a great team, and so I think there's a message that, we don't need everyone to feel and think exactly alike to get along and then to do better work. We bring out the best in each other when we have differences, I think. But it'd been $35,000 we'd raised, and I told Brian Blair, I said, I'd like to do something for Knobs. And he said that because of the CAC bylaws, you can't, one major operation could be the entire budget for the year. So it's like $10,000 that any one wrestler gets. And he said, Mick, if you want to help Knobs, you can donate directly to his GoFundMe. So that's what I've been doing the past 7 or 8 shows. And we've raised, probably the last 10 shows. Because honestly, the auction brings in an average of $500 a night. We brought in
awesome.
$400 last
You
night.
literally take the shirt off your back.
Yes. Just don't let anyone see me taking it off. In case somebody's taking a photo. I went behind the door last night. Just turn your back for a second. I take off the shirts that I'm wearing and I put on, something else. And so we're going to try to raise about $7,000 to $10,000.
That's awesome.
That night. So going to Shinedown, I contact Conrad because he's essentially the mayor of Huntsville, right?
Yes.
And I said, listen, my family really wants to see Shinedown, and he pulls a few strings. I know a guy, right? So Cassio is the guy. And now about 4 months earlier, Colette, my wife, and 2 of my kids are on a flight, and she sees Brent Smith at Shinedown. And says, excuse me, are you who I think you are? Like you're not making a scene, but she's like, when I get off the plane, we take a photo. And, or maybe she took one right there, the selfie on the plane. But at baggage claim, my son, Mickey, he sees the world a little differently. He can't help but he's staring at Brent Smith, right? 20 minutes. And then Brent finally gets his bag. He looks over my son and goes,
yeah.
And they take a photo. Like he could tell he wanted this young man wants to take a photo with him. So with your help, they get about a 20-minute audience.
Yeah.
With Brent Smith, and my son walks in, and Brent looks at him and goes, "Airport."
He did.
Airport.
Noticed him immediately.
My son from the airport, and he took those few minutes to really make my family feel special, and we couldn't have done that without you.
Well,
that's a moment. I think as we get older in this business, you realize that the moments you're providing to people are something that they sometimes remember for
that's right
the rest of their lives.
And you forget that sometimes when you interact with a lot of people in a row.
Yeah.
You know, that may be your 15th interaction. That's their only one.
That's their only one. Yeah.
And that's the only one they will talk about for years.
So part of what made last night so special for me, I did the one-man show, and I walked out, and I see a lot of my colleagues, and I'm used to maybe 2 or 3 people. Like Bobby Eaton was in Huntsville one year. Here and there, I'll invite a few people. It'd be 15 to 20 guys that I'd worked with. Jimmy Hart's there, downtown Bruno, Lombardi. Like, you know, there's all kinds of people out there.
Bruno was there for catering. No offense. He was stealing like cookies and chips and things like that. Yeah. The other guys were there for you.
Okay.
Bruno was the only. He was stealing a bunch.
I'll grant you that. And one of the things that made it so big for me was that Barbara Goodish, Bruiser Brody's wife, was there, and she did the Q&A with me. And so Barbara and I have become pretty good friends over the last few years. And she comes over and shows me that one of the fans has photos they took in the late 70s with Brody. And it's this great photo because this woman who's now in her, you know, I'd do the math, probably in her, you know, early 50s, late 50s, has a photo of Bruiser Brody. Wow. And he's not just like this. He's giving her a little kiss on the cheek. And this is something this woman has carried with her for, you know, it's the actual photo. And she's carried it with her for her entire life. And it's so meaningful. And like you said, it's something that's probably largely forgotten. Last night, there was a child, I guess he was like 10 years old. He was dressed as Mankind. And he asked the question. So I said, well, listen, young man, if you're going to look like Mankind, I'm going to have to teach you how to act like Mankind. I said, come on in the ring. And I said, no, what you need to do is, do you remember when we were working maybe with AAA and they had the minis?
Yes.
So,
yes.
And I think you were the one who told me the story about Vader. So there's a tale of 2 minis. Mini Mankind is sitting in the room, and I'm going, no, you have to rock. Like, and I'm through the translator, like, your lucha spots are great, but try to get into the character. And he's got the mask on, he's rocking, and Mini Vader's walking around going, attorney? Because I'm thinking what a tribute this is that there's a Mini named after me, and Leon's threatening this guy.
True story. He threatened to sue him over taking his
because he hears his Leon heard his music playing, you know, and he might be a pretty uptight guy, and he comes sprinting. He looks at the monitor, and there's a little guy running the ropes like Leon did, and he didn't find it as
the big mastodon threatened to sue him. A Mini.
Sue Mini him.
Like this guy just showed up on his own to Monday Night Raw in Vader outfit and got Vader's music to play and somehow walked out on his own.
Like he just stole it.
He just did that on his own. Yeah.
They called him to do it.
It's not like he's doing an indie and he's big band Seder. You know? There's a Dick Foley out there, and I remember calling. I said, "Is this Mick Foley?" No, it's his nephew Dick. And I was like, "Well, I am Mick Foley."
Oh, that was really a Dick Foley.
Yeah, there really was.
Hey, wait a minute. The Effie was JBL one time.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
it was JBL. And so when I saw him like 2 days later, I see him at a show. I walk in and he sees me. He's kind of sheepish. I said, I think it's the greatest thing ever. I love it. I think it's great.
So
there's a real Dick Foley.
There was and
you called.
There's a Dick Foley and a Nick Foley, and I did call.
Nick Foley.
And the guy had this big promo using all my stuff, and he goes, "If you think you know this," he's like, "You don't know Dick." And I give him credit for having. He spent some money on the promotional stuff, but now I have to, in the interest of full disclosure, say that I did for a short while in the independent circuit work as one half of the South Sea Islanders, not the Islanders. And my partner was Mike Kalua, who's a Filipino heritage. Like that made sense. And I hear Mark Tendler, he was the guy who taught children to walk like kind of bow-legged to pass as little people. You know? There were some wacky ideas out there, and I was like, well, I've been working on this Cactus Jack character. He goes, you'll still be Cactus Jack. You'll be from the Fiji Islands. And I was like, sounds good to me. So I went out there and we worked with the Rock and Roll Connection. One of them was Tom Brandy. So it's not like I am untainted by this. You know, we all do what we have to do, right? I believe I might be talking to Death Mask.
Death Mask, yes. Oh my God. Worst character ever. I show up to Japan and all of a sudden I'm in an Undertaker ripoff character, Death Mask. And I'm like, dude, I can't do this. And they go, well, you need a job. I go, yeah, I do need a job. Yeah.
So it's full Taker gimmick.
Oh, the whole thing was a cowboy. I had the hair down in front as a cowboy. Yeah, I'm hoping no pictures exist anywhere. I'm like Schwarzenegger trying to buy the joint pictures off, of pumping iron, trying to get rid of them. I'm trying to buy all the pictures of like me versus Death Mask. Yeah. And they're going, oh, we'll just leave you in for a couple tours. For one tour, they said, and then we'll put you back in your character. But then I'm back at the next tour too. I'm like, this is horrible.
You got over as Death Mask.
I don't know if I got over or not, but
they brought you back.
They did bring me back. Yeah. Nobody they're going like this guy's dumb enough. He's going to do it again. Like they're all laughing among themselves, but he's going to do it again.
Well, the easiest thing for a small promotion to do is borrow something that's already worked.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So IWA Japan, we had Freddy Krueger, we had Leather Mask, we had Jose Estrada as the Crypt Keeper. And I was being a little tough on Jose when I've just recently been doing some voiceovers for the, it's part play-by-play, part podcast, and it's for a very, small but enthusiastic group of fans who will pay for a DVD and want to hear their perspective. And I was like, man, Jose, he's kept teasing the barbed wire. And at a certain point, you have to kind of pay it off. And I was like, I was kind of being a little tough on him. I was like, wait a second. I even said I was making $300 a night. He was probably making $125. Maybe that's not the type of money that can, because you get tied up in that stuff. It can mess you up, right? Maybe I was a little tough on Jose Estrada. 125 entry out there, but the Crypt Keeper, and then they come out and people are like, whoa, and like, I'm working hard to get this gimmick over, and you're just taking people from B movies, or HBO series, sending them out there.
Hey, I went down to Mexico, and I think I'm a cowboy, and they make me Vampiro Americano.
Did they really?
Oh, yeah. Like Vampiro Canadians, who's over like crazy. I'm a Vampiro Americano.
Yeah.
I thought it was like Dark Patriot. I didn't know that Vampiro Americano, the real guy, had punched one of Elizondo's stooges in Monterey and gotten I think fired or something. They were mad at him. They brought me down to mess with him. I didn't know that. I thought he was in on it. So they gave me all this gear to wear and everything. So I'm going around all around the loop. I'm wearing his title, making that be, his championship. I'm wearing all of his gear. I've got his name. I've got his makeup, everything on. I think he's in on it. He's not in on it. I don't know this. So I'm sitting in Monterey at the Plaza del Toros, and I'm across from Vampiro Americano. Vampiro Canadians, first time I met him, super nice guy. And I sit there across from him. He's just staring at me. And I said, is something wrong? And he goes, you're wearing my shit. I go, and I said, well, yeah, that's the idea. I'm going to lose the name and lose the everything and lose the title. And He goes, no, you're wearing my shit. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. They had gone down. He had bought stuff from a seamstress. They went down and picked it up that he had paid for and gave it to me. And I'm literally wearing his shit. I'm wearing his stuff in front of him. He paid for it. Yeah. And I would start laughing. He goes, you're not in on it, are you? I go, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I see him like 20 years later. He's in an elevator, big, tall looking guy. And he goes, hey, you gonna say anything to me? Yeah, you recognize somebody, but you don't look at him. And I look around and I realize it's Vampiro. He goes, you're wearing my shit. I go, oh my God. And he goes, and you never gave it back to me. So apparently I've still got it somewhere. Yeah.
Get in the closet, find that.
Well, I got to find it. I literally was wearing his shit he paid for.
That's amazing.
So he was relieved of the character because he had beaten up one of the...
Apparently, what I heard was, and I never asked him the question, I need to ask him after all these years, I heard he had punched one of Elizondo's stooges. I heard that's what happened. And Elizondo got mad at him, wasn't using him. They brought me down to mess with him.
Gotcha, okay.
Brought me down to mess with him as Vampiro Americano to mess with him. And gave me his gimmick, gave me the title, gave me all this stuff. I'm going around television like he could draw money. I couldn't draw unemployment. So it's like,
what do you remember? You were there when they brought in the bogus Razor and the bogus Diesel.
100%, yeah.
So I thought the idea was they're like not poking fun, but it was assumed that it would be a heat getting thing because these guys are heels and they're getting heat because they're playing themselves off to be something they're not.
Yeah.
But I guess the office really wanted the fans to believe these were the guys. And we all loved Glenn Jacobs, but he was a bad bogus diesel.
Horrible.
Right?
Horrible.
Horrible.
I tagged with Glenn in Europe for Otto back in Bremen, and then Glenn comes up and he's a dentist, and I go, "Oh my God, that's terrible." Then I thought, "I can't get any worse." It did.
It did get worse.
It did.
He started out as a Christmas creature.
Yeah, that's right.
That got worse. Let's have a dentist who doesn't take care of his teeth.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do with the nicest guy we know, who's a huge man, a terrific athlete, can really work? Let's put him in the most bogus shit you possibly can.
And let's give him one of those pun names from Decatur. Decatur, Illinois.
Yeah, that's right.
The only time that worked was with Paul Bearer.
That's right. The only time it worked.
Paul Bearer. That was the only time it worked. Other than that, but I'll tell you a similar story in IWA Japan before I got there. Mike Kirshner, Corporal Kirshner from WWF, he was the original Leatherface. And then he was jailed for a year for punching someone really hard in the face in Japan.
Really hard.
Really hard.
Not casually, really hard.
No working punch. This was like working with Steve Austin at the peak. That's how hard he hit, you know? Like being on the receiving end of a Austin
I came back one time for a match with Steve, and Vince goes, "I said no juice, no physicality." I go, "I'm the dartboard. I did not hit myself. You cannot blame me for me being busted open."
And now here's the thing. Anyone who thinks we're putting Steve down,
no,
he likes it. Yeah,
Steve didn't care. He's I love Steve. I love Steve.
No, but I mean, he likes to know that he likes people to know he put the stuff in there. and whenever I'm asked about, like the stiffest wrestler, I always go, with all due respect to Steve Austin. And then I say Vader, because you and I didn't work enough together, but apparently you were you were way up there, right? What was the first thing Undertaker said after your first match together?
"I owe you money." I got him in the corner. I'm nervous as I can be. He just had this match with Diesel at WrestleMania. I've never seen that at WrestleMania.
This would have been when I made my debut.
The same match.
I came out during that match, yeah.
Cactus is coming out at the end of the match, making his debut. He's got to wrestle Vader in a dark match at the end of the show. It's the worst night of his life. So, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" The blue haze comes up, and all these lights come up. And I'm sitting there, like, wow, "I'm going back to Japan. I'm getting fired. There's no way I don't belong here." And Dutch looks at me and goes, "Just be aggressive. Just be aggressive." And that's all I think is be aggressive. I got him in the corner. I'm just waffling him. He goes, "Do I owe you money?" I'm fired.
So this is the aura of The Undertaker. Yes, I'm going to put myself over here. We're on the Jericho cruise 8 years ago, and Conan's there. And Conan says he's never been hit as hard with a chair as I hit it. And it's like, well, how does that make sense? Like with these arms, but the secret was, if you've seen Dutch crack the bullwhip, right?
Yes.
It's not how hard you crack that, it's the snap of the wrist.
Yep, and Dutch could do it every single time.
So I took that concept into the chairs, especially in ECW, where they had the plastic back chairs.
Yeah.
And I didn't hit someone with the flat of the seat. I got that extra 12 to 18 inches, and I get up high, and when I come in, I go, I would just crack it. And I remember Sabu, and I've seen Sabu get what would have been 100 stitches for anyone else, but he super glued it. And instead of stopping the match, Bello Falzar runs to the back and comes back without. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. His genie pants are torn to shreds. He wraps it up, and anyone else, like any other sport, they take a timeout. And we're the bogus sport, the phony sport, and we keep going. But I remember hitting him, and Sabu had tears coming down his eyes. And he goes, "Am I bleeding? Am I bleeding?" And he's a guy, he did a moonsault and overshot me. I was like an outfielder going for it, and he just flew over my head and impaled himself in the guardrail. And he was just going, "Give me time, give me time, give me time." And then he came back. So we're talking about a tough dude, and I kind of brought him to tears. And then somebody goes, "Well, I've seen you use chairs in WWE. Why didn't you do it that way?" I said, "I wasn't going to do that to The Undertaker."
That's great. That is so
First
good.
of all, we had metal chairs, but I was like, even the concept, I'm going to crack this thing so hard. First of all, completely kill his character if he started crying in the ring. Right? Or even if they heard him going, "Am I crying? Am I bleeding? Am I bleeding?" It's like, I'm not doing that. And this is one of those cases where it's like, I'm going to be good enough with good, right? Like, really good, but I'm not going to crack that. You kids out there in the Indies, I guess if you have a willing opponent, but let them know you're going to hit them in a little different way. Because, you could knock the wind out of somebody with the chair to the back.
Oh, absolutely.
But this is a different type of, but it's 9/10 of the effectiveness of a headshot without the obvious drawbacks from getting hit in the head. But this was a different type of thing. It was a different way of doing it. You could hear it crack.
Snap of the wrist.
And I think my wife and kids were there. I think my son Huey goes, Dad, why didn't you do that in WWS? I wasn't going to do that. No. It doesn't mean I didn't respect Sabu and Conan, but I wanted to keep my job.
Yeah. Different consequences when it's there.
And we didn't use plastic chairs in WWF.
Right.
We didn't do that. Guys, I got to run. Okay?
Yeah, dude, thank you.
Appreciate you. Put in
so
my
much.
5 minutes?
Yeah, hope we were just above okay.
I'm going to go on a limb and say we did not suck.
No, we did not suck
today.
We did not suck today.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mick.
All right.
Welcome back, man. What a great episode of Curtain Jerkers with the hardcore legend himself. John, Mick Foley joined us. How about that, man?
That was awesome. I mean, it's not as great as, learning the new news that the moon landing was fake, but there was a lot of things done. Mick Foley's awesome.
I love, that makes me feel good about this show that he specifically told us, I have 5 to 10 minutes only.
That's right.
5 to 10 minutes only. And it got to the 10. We set an alarm for 10 minutes.
We did.
We would not hold the man up, and he was having so much fun. We almost got an hour hanging out with hardcore legend himself.
It was great visiting with Mick. It was a lot of fun catching up with him. And it was awesome that he said, I only got 5 minutes, and he gave us about 40. So
we had a blast with him. Also, by the way, I heard a joke, John, about you.
What was that?
It said, what do JBL and foreclosures have in common?
What does JBL and foreclosures have in common? I feel like Ed McMahon.
They both show up and ruin your life.
It's not that funny. It's really not that funny.
Well, I gotta think.
Hey, what about all this porn in fucking Fairview, Illinois?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So we go down there for Herb. We go down there for Herb Simmons down at SICW, and we're in a hotel, and they're in the sports bar, the bar, whatever it is. You witnessed this because I think you might have been in it. There was allegedly porn on the television set.
Super allegedly, John. Super allegedly. That somehow there was porn streamed to the hotel lobby bar. Yeah, that was real bad.
Did you allegedly witness this?
I did, and it was a real big deal. It was I was in there, and boy, I didn't know they had actresses that old, but she was real old, and she was on the screen, and I heard one guy, he just did like the Leonardo DiCaprio. He just went, hey. He couldn't even say anything. He was just pointing. And then I heard almost like from a sitcom or a movie, the back corner of the bar went, what's going on with the TV? And that's when everybody looked. And this Meemaw had lost her teeth. I'll tell you that. They were gone. Because
she had no teeth.
Yeah.
She had no teeth, but there was some nudity on this.
Lots of nudity. Nothing but nudity.
And this was playing in the hotel bar. And you were watching this.
Yeah. I went to get a drink and chaos broke out. We can't say who was involved, but then we got our buddy Dylan. Shout out to Dylan, who does a great job filming all these curtain jerkers. And so then we sent Dylan out to verify because we just needed, nobody's going to believe me if I say that. And then he laid out on it too. He was actually like, if it happens, I'm going to try to get some footage for curtain jerkers. And so he goes out there very chill, and all of a sudden just comes giggling and running back into the hotel room going, hey, it's on the TV. It's real bad. Cut it off. We're like, we're not in charge of it.
Wait a minute. He said, cut it off. You guys were in control of it?
No, he was just like, we can't be involved. I was like, did you get footage so we can prove it? He goes, I couldn't be in there. It's the most uncomfortable feeling I've ever had.
So you had a woman with no teeth that was on the television set doing porn.
Yeah.
And you guys were trying to film this for Curtain Jerkers, but you couldn't do it because you couldn't be a part of it.
I had to get out of the room. It's the most uncomfortable I've ever
How did
been.
you know it was on?
I didn't. I just went to get a drink.
So you had no prior knowledge that something like this might happen.
No chance.
Might happen. And you have no prior knowledge that something like this might have happened twice.
Mm-mm. No chance.
What do you got on your finger?
It says shh.
No, you got something like on your finger. What's on your finger?
Tattoo. It says shh.
Your finger says shh.
Yeah, I used to have a mustache there. That looks very it's kind of worn off there. It doesn't look acceptable in today's society now, but looks like a little tiny mustache. And then this one says shh, S-H-H-H.
Why do you have shh on your finger? And why do you have like an Adolf mustache on your other finger?
It had curly cues on it. It's worn off.
Tattoos wear off?
Yeah.
So you had like a Raleigh fingers, not an Adolf mustache.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Whiskers.
Okay. So this woman had no teeth and
no whiskers. She had no whiskers either.
And she was nude doing porn.
Very nude.
Was she good looking?
Harry, it's hard to tell from that angle. I didn't see much of her. Didn't lock eyes with her.
So this porn ended up on the TV in the sports bar.
No, the hotel lobby.
Oh, the hotel lobby.
The hotel lobby bar right there by the main desk. Right there by our hotel rooms. It appeared while people were in there drinking, talking, chatting about the wonderful event we were attending. And somehow some porn got on there, and it was real bad. Real bad.
The reaction was real bad, or the porn was real bad?
Both. Yeah, it was all around not a good scenario.
A woman with no teeth was involved in the porn.
Yeah. She looked like a human wearing another human skin suit.
So this is not like appealing porn. This is like really like very like niche.
She looked like she was peeling, but no, it was not appealing. It's wrinkly skin.
And what were the people that were sitting there that were seeing this?
Hey, what's going on with the TV? Hey. That's what they were doing. Whoa. And I had a water. You remember the lobby had those waters?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to get the water. When I saw it, I just did and got out of there.
Then you send Dylan back to record it.
Yeah, I was like, hey, nobody's going to believe me. We have to get footage. And then he went in there and got super uncomfortable and came back running as well.
Any idea how this ended up on the TV?
No. Nobody involved in our party.
I didn't ask if anybody was involved in your party.
Nobody in our party at all.
You seem very defensive about this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what I mean right there. You seem very defensive about this.
No, I didn't. Nothing I had to do with it or anybody affiliated with me or you or Curtain Jerkers at all.
Just happened out of the blue. Just happened like in isolation in a silo.
Yeah, I mean, somebody clearly was in charge of it. I don't know how it gets up there. We weren't behind the bar, so we couldn't have done it. Were you out there? Did you do it?
No, I'd heard about it.
You seem to know a lot about it for not being there.
Because I heard about it from you guys.
Oh,
that you guys had tried to film it. Mm-hmm. And it didn't work because Dylan thought this is terrible and I can't film this.
There was a man in the back corner of the bar with a black button up and a cowboy hat. You weren't there.
No, I was not there. I did not. I have no knowledge of this until after post fact when I heard about it. And it sounded like some chicanery was going on, is what it sounded like.
Have you? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Well, I don't know what word you just said. I don't know if the angle that she was at, if that's considered chicanery or what.
What angle was she at?
I'll tell you this: her hip replacement is working out.
She had a hip replacement
at her age, guaranteed. And it was working out. Boy, she was limber, more limber than I anticipated.
This was an old lady with no teeth and a hip
very
replacement.
old, very old, very old. Looks like you in a wig. Very old.
Do I look that bad?
Turn to the side and open your mouth, and I'll tell you if you look like her.
Oh, that's not nice at all.
I won't know until I see that ankle. It's the only angle I saw her in, I believe. Well, I don't know how we got on. Oh, this is curtain jerkers. I should have known something. Nudity or nakedness or penises would come up.
We got a big curtain jerkers this weekend we're filming.
We do. We're going to have some fun. We're going to be in Nashville, and it's going to have a blast. So we can't wait to see what we're doing. If we get the guests that we have lined up, I don't want to give their name out, John, but if we get those guests, it might be the rowdiest curtain jerkers we've ever done.
It could be. We could have a lot of fun. Now, we did find out that the moon landing was fake. I'm glad we found that out. But
we're gonna run into some trouble, I believe, next.
Hey, and Dave Silva just says we need to wrap this because he does another recording. He's a dick.
Wow. Maybe Silva did it.
Silva could have put that porn on there. It sounds like him.
He's very tech savvy with all this.
He's incredibly tech savvy. He knows a lot of things about computers.
Silva, throw it up there. Throw up the porn if you can, and if not, just drop them curtains on us. Let's get out of here.